Chapter 1. Extraterritorial Battlefield. Your wife owes me 1 million. If you don't pay her back today, I'll kill her. Ye Wuwei, whose hands were stained with blood, saw this confusing news and ignored it. He is not married, so where can he find a wife? It's okay without killing her. I'll find a new job for Li Qingyan to pick up customers at the brothel and earn back this million. However, your 5-year-old consumptive daughter is not so lucky. Seeing the 3 words Li Qingyan, Ye Wuwei's eyes froze, and a violent and sinister aura shot straight into the sky. In an instant, the surrounding temperature seemed to drop several degrees. Palace Master. Countless bloody temple-killing warriors all around knelt down and worshipped. Everyone was in a state of shock and their faces were twitching. What's going on, Lord? How could such a shocking fury break out? It's light smoke is dangerous. Ye Wuwei tried to call. But the other party hung up directly and only replied with 3 words, text. Ye Wuwei tried his best to suppress the rage in his heart, and said with trembling arms, wait, it will be delivered today. Immediately, he ignored the surrounding temple-killing warriors and quickly shot towards the distant airport. His speed reached the extreme, leaving a string of afterimages in the air. Under his feet, corpses were everywhere and blood flowed like a river. These people are all members of the Killing God Palace, one of the 3 giants in the underground world. Today, Ye Wuwei led the powerful men of the Temple of Killing to directly attack the old nest of the temple and uproot it. The branches of the Temple of Killing all over the world are personally led by the 9 envoys of the Temple of Killing to launch attacks simultaneously. The master of the Killing Palace, who once made the royal families of various countries tremble with fear and kept countless kings awake at night, is the ultimate god of death who ranks first on the assassination list, Venomous Fang. It had been bombarded by Ye Wuwei and turned into blood mist all over the sky. Kill the God Palace and be removed from the world from now on. Boom boom boom. In order to save time on going to the airport, Ye Wuwei kept accelerating, reaching such an extreme speed that it was almost difficult to see clearly with the naked eye. Everything in his way, whether it was walls or trees, was destroyed. But his speed was not affected. Arrive at the airport. Fly to Daxia immediately, quickly. 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 Ye Wuwei was extremely anxious, and his terrifying aura made everyone tremble with fear. The palace master has always been calm. Even after killing the ultimate god of death, Venomous Fang, there was no mood swing. Why are you so out of your mind at this moment? Could it be that there are terrorist forces preparing to attack Daxia and targeting the imperial capital? Without hesitation, the crew quickly took off. On the plane, Ye Wuwei was breathing heavily, clenching his fists and trembling all over. 6 years ago, he was hunted down and was seriously injured and fled all the way to Zhongcheng. If it weren't for Li Qingyan, he would have died on that rainy night. At that time, Ye Wuwei had the deepest malice towards the world. Abandoned when he was young, he was kicked out of the house by his adoptive father when he was young, stabbed in the back by his brothers, and was hunted to death. His world is bleak and dull. It was the time when Li Qingyan took care of him that made him see hope of living and have expectations for the future. Li Qingyan was like a beam of light, shining into his bleak and dark life, giving him direction. After recovering from his injuries, Ye Wuwei joined the most mysterious special operations force of the Great Xia War Department, Lanja. During the 3 years in Lanja, he experienced the training of blood and fire and grew rapidly. The duel in the darkness is extremely cruel and dangerous. He narrowly escaped death every time because Ye Wuwei had an extremely strong desire to live, he wanted to see her again. Watch her blossom into youth, watch her get married and have children, watch her live a peaceful life. Although Ye Wuwei had great military exploits, he felt that he was not worthy of Li Qingyan. A person with blood on his hands is not worthy of such a gentle and kind girl. Li Qingyan's good life is Ye Wuwei's biggest wish in his life. 3 years ago, the supreme commander of Lanja passed away mysteriously. Ye Wuwei received the last mission in Lanja, escape from Dragon Fang, completely integrate into the underground world, and fight darkness with darkness. Ye Wuwei has nothing to do with Lanja, and has nothing to do with Daxia. Since then it has been unknown, no honor, no medal, there will be no flowers or applause. In the darkness, they formed the first line of defense outside the territory of Daxia. With flesh and blood, a great steel wall was built in the dark night. Even if he falls in the darkness, he can only turn into a wandering soul. All this, Ye Wuwei accepted it willingly. Because while protecting Daxia, I also protected the light that illuminated his life. For her, he can do without honor, no medal, no flowers, or applause. He often thought that maybe this was his fate. A person who has lived a miserable life, fighting in the darkness and falling in the darkness, is the true nature of his life. Along with Ye Wuwei, there were 10 of his comrades who escaped from Long's 1st Battalion. There are a total of 11 people in the Dragon Tooth 1st Brigade. In order to find the murderer who killed the supreme commander of Longye. After several bloody battles, 6 comrades died in a foreign country. Seeing his comrade who had been with him day and night fall in front of him, and still looking at the east longingly before he died, even a man as determined as Ye Wuwei could not help but burst into tears. At that time, Ye Wuwei realized the limitations of individual power. Therefore, the 5 survivors of Ryaga's 1st Brigade created the mysterious power that is now feared by countless dark giants, Temple of Death. Ye Wuwei is the master of the Temple of Punishment. He is currently ranked number 1 on the list of 100 gods of war in the world and is the most mysterious god of heavenly punishment. The other 4 people are now the 4 notorious kings of the Temple of Punishment. The Zushan Temple does not belong to any country or any armed organization. It exists independently from all parties. Neither good nor evil. But all the core members of the super force know that if they want to attack Daxia, it is best not to let the god of death find out. The destruction of the Killing God Palace this time was due to the fact that the Killing God Palace has successively taken action against the Daxia people overseas in recent times. He even posted a video arrogantly to provoke Daxia. Therefore, they are now reduced to ashes. Palace Master, based on the phone number you just gave us, we found its recent location. In the West 2nd Ring Road of Zhongcheng, Zhongzhou, Daxia. At this time, a crew member came over and respectfully reported the situation. After the rapid development of Zushan Temple in the past few years, its industry has spread all over the world. The actual controller of this airline is Zushan Shen. After entering Daxia, fly directly to Zhongcheng. Yes. Ye Wuwei looked at the white clouds outside the window, and seemed to see Li Qingyan's face in a trance. Qingyan, are you married? Even my daughter is 5 years old. Time flies so fast. 5 years, 5 years old. 5 years old. In an instant, Ye Wuwei's blood was boiling. In my mind, I remembered that night of farewell 6 years ago. Ye Wuwei, don't give up on yourself in the future, the world is still very beautiful. Well, I listen to you. Also, be safe, someone will be worried about you. Is that you? Oh, it definitely can't be me. That night, Li Qingyan bid farewell to Ye Wuwei. Both drank a lot. When he woke up the next day, Ye Wuwei found that Li Qingyan had left. He only left a small note, I won't see you off. It's unlucky to cry when you say goodbye. Could it be that night? Ye Wuwei's lips trembled. Even though he is the unyielding master of the Temple of Punishment and the spiritual pillar of 100,000 strong people of the Temple of Punishment, he can't help but shed tears at this moment. When I think about the person who I tried my best to protect, he was not protected well. His heart ached when he thought that the little girl who might be his daughter might be killed at any time. Ah! Emotions such as self-blame, guilt, heartbreak, etc. flooded into his heart. Ye Wuwei could no longer suppress the turbulent emotions and let out a heart-rending roar. The sound spread and shook the sky. No matter who it is, dare to hurt them. He will be crushed to pieces, his bones will be shattered and ashes will be thrown away, and he will regret coming to this world. Hall Master, we are approaching the territory of Daxia. The fighter jets from Daxia came and said that we did not register and asked to return immediately. A crew member came quickly to report the situation. Ye Wuwei's eyes were blood red as he walked into the cab and his voice was cold and bone-chilling. I am Ye Wuwei, the master of the Temple of Execution. I go to Zhongcheng to do business. If you miss my time, you will bear the consequences. After that, leave the cab directly. If they continue to block it, they will have no choice but to force their way into Daxia. For her. He's willing to take on the world. Chapter 2. I am Ye Wuwei, the master of the Temple of Execution. I am in Zhongcheng for business. If you miss my time, you will bear the consequences. Imperial Capital. War Headquarters. Ye Wuwei's cold words stung the nerves of the entire War Department, causing the complexions of countless big bosses with overwhelming power to change drastically. No matter what important matter is at hand, put it down immediately. All the War Department bosses quickly gathered in the conference room. The entire War Department was shocked. The Temple of Punishment is so special, with overwhelming killing power, and every member is a capable warrior. The Lord of the Temple of Punishment is an existence that makes many dark giants extremely fearful. The 4 heavenly kings under his command all have extremely fierce records. Quite a few underground demons and war gods from other countries died at their hands. Zushan Temple and Daxia have always been on good terms with each other. How could Ye Wuwei suddenly forcefully enter Daxia? He mentioned Zhongcheng. Could it be that someone in Zhongcheng offended him? What happened in Zhongcheng? No information related to him in Daxia can be found. Only the highest level of authority can unlock it. He has now reached the western border. Will we let him in? All the War Department bosses were discussing and could not make a decision. Everyone's eyes were directed at an old man with grey hair in the front of the conference room. This man has led the Great Xia War Department for more than 10 years. He is the absolute pillar of the country and the supreme commander of the Great Xia War Department, Chen Chaozong. There was a big screen in front of him, and on the screen a plane was flying to Daxia. Chen Chaozong slowly turned around and looked at everyone. Upon seeing this, the others immediately shut up. Although Chen Chaozong's hair is grey, he is full of energy, his eyes are like lightning, and he possesses an unrivaled majesty. An hour ago, the headquarters of Killing God Palace was razed to the ground, and all branches in various places were destroyed. It's all done by the Temple of Punishment. Everyone knows the cause of the matter. Over the years, Zushan Shen has done a lot for Daxia overtly and secretly. We owe him a favor. Let him in and don't stop him. I am responsible for all consequences. Chen Chaozong said the last 16 words categorically. Yes. A War Department boss immediately stood up and quickly contacted the border for clearance. Chen Chaozong looked at the big screen again, frowned, and said in a deep voice, Ye Wuwei's attack is so fierce this time that it may cause waves. Contact the Qinglong God of War immediately, lead the Qinglong guards to Zhongcheng urgently, wait and see what happens, and control the situation in a timely manner. Be sure to investigate clearly what happened in Zhongcheng, and never expand the situation. Let Ye Wuwei enter Daxia as a favor. But the subsequent series of arrangements are Chen Chaozong's responsibility. It is still unknown why Ye Wuwei entered Daxia with murderous intent, so he can only take precautions in advance. The Green Dragon God of War is the leader of the 4 war gods of Daxia. If a battle breaks out, he should be able to control the situation to a minimum. If the Azure Dragon God of War cannot stop Ye Wuwei's overwhelming power. The weather this summer is about to change. Zhongcheng. West 2nd Ring Road. In a villa. A fierce man with a ferocious scar on his face, a sneer on his lips. On the floor in front of him sat a pitiful woman. The man is Scar, the leader of the 4 gold medal thugs of the Black Dragon Gang, the largest underground force in Zhongcheng. He is domineering in Zhongcheng and can make children stop crying. Everywhere he went, everyone was silent, and no one even dared to look at him. Scar shook the phone and said with a ferocious smile, Li Qingyan, it's been another hour. I just slapped your daughter a few times before. Now, I'm going to break one of her arms. Come, watch with your eyes wide open and see with your own eyes how your daughter's hand is broken. After 12 o'clock, if you still can't raise the 1 million, you will have no choice but to drown your daughter in the Longjiang River. In the picture on the mobile phone, a little girl shivered in the corner. That unkempt, tear-stained, and pitiful woman was the Li Qingyan that Ye Wuwei missed day and night. Li Qingyan burst into tears, shook her head wildly, and said sternly, No, please don't hurt her. The principal of 100,000 borrowed has been returned to you. I have no money left. In the past year, her daughter has contracted a strange disease, which has consumed all Li Qingyan's savings. Some time ago, she borrowed 100,000 yuan from a loan company for an emergency, but she didn't expect that the person behind this loan company was the notorious Black Dragon Gang. In just 1 month, the Black Dragon Gang increased the interest tenfold and demanded that Li Qingyan pay back 1 million. Scar smiled coldly, if the principal is repaid, then you don't have to repay the interest. Repaying debts is a matter of course. If your daughter dies, it's all your fault. It was you who refused to save her. Scar's fierce words frightened Li Qingyan's face into despair. She felt miserable and begged, Don't hurt her, please give me a few more days. Scar had no expression on his face and said coldly, I'll give you time, who the hell will give me time? This hour's punishment must be fulfilled. After saying that, Scar yelled at the phone, Do it. In the picture, a man in black strode up to the little girl, raised his leg and gave her a sweeping sweep. Wow mom, Nian Nian is afraid, Nian Nian wants to go home, mom woo dad, where are you? The little girl's desperate cry was like a sharp knife piercing Li Qingyan's heart. Li Qingyan's heart was bleeding profusely. Beast, I'll fight you. Like a mad lioness, she pounced on Scar. Scar glanced at her contemptuously, ducked his body, and at the same time stretched out his foot to hook. Li Qingyan missed it, her feet were still unstable, and she fell to the ground. Haha, even with your little ability, you still want to resist. There are still 3 hours until 12 o'clock. If your daughter breaks another arm and a leg, she will end up in Longjiang. Look at how sad she is crying, I feel sorry for you even if you don't feel sorry for her. Scar laughed wildly, and his words were full of condescension. It seemed that this feeling of playing with other people's fate made him very proud. Li Qingyan trembled all over and burst into tears. Her voice trembled and she said desperately, "Give me the phone, and I'll call my parents." Hearing this, Scar tilted his head, and a boy next to him immediately handed over a mobile phone. Li Qingyan's hands trembled as she dialed a mobile phone number. Soon, the phone was connected. "Mom, have you borrowed the money?" "Qingyan, how is Nian Nian? That damn uncle of yours doesn't agree with anything. Your father and I knelt down to beg him. Not only did he disagree, but he also kicked us out. Miss her, Wuwei Qingyan, don't cry. Your father and I will go and beg your uncle again." Seeing that Li Qingyan was crying so much that she couldn't even say a complete sentence, Scar took the phone away and hung up the phone forcibly. This year, her daughter was sick, and Li Qingyan borrowed money from everyone she could. The 100,000 yuan principal that was returned to the Black Dragon Gang was given to her by her best friend Zhang Shuet. She really doesn't know who to borrow the million from now. Time flies. Another hour is about to pass. Bang! The door to the room was kicked open, and Scar walked in fiercely. "Li Qingyan, your parents haven't responded yet. My biggest weakness is my kindness. Seeing how pitiful you are, I give you the right to choose. This time, it's your choice whether to break your arm or your leg." There was a cruel smile on Scar's lips. This smile fell into Li Qingyan's eyes, and was more terrifying than the devil. Li Qingyan closed her eyes in despair and said in a hoarse voice, "Beast, you must not die well." Scar laughed loudly, "You are right, I will definitely die badly. Since you don't want to choose, then I will show mercy and help you choose. Your daughter has already broken an arm, so..." Before Scar could finish his words, he suddenly frowned and looked out the window. He felt an unprecedented terrifying murderous intention, overwhelming and overwhelming. Wow! A figure with an extremely terrifying aura broke through the window and appeared in the room. This person is none other than Ye Wuwei, who tried his best to come here. Ye Wuwei's eyes were scarlet and he glanced at Scar. Scar felt like he was facing an abyss, he was so frightened that he retreated continuously. Ye Wuwei's eyes moved quickly and finally fell on Li Qingyan. I saw the kind-hearted and smiling girl she once looked like now. A majestic murderous intent suddenly erupted, covering the entire Zhongcheng. Chapter 3. Light Smoke. Ye Wuwei's eyes were about to burst and he quickly rushed to Li Qingyan's side. At this time, Li Qingyan's lips were white and his face was bloodless. The vicissitudes of life made Ye Wuwei's heart throb. He held Li Qingyan's shoulders distressedly, and tears fell uncontrollably. Whether he was seriously injured or on the verge of death while performing those extremely dangerous missions in Dragon Fang, or fighting with people in the underground world and almost dying, he didn't even shed a tear. But now that he saw Li Qingyan's appearance, he couldn't suppress the grief in his heart no matter what. A man doesn't shed tears lightly, but it's just not the time to feel sad. Blood and tears fell silently. Li Qingyan heard Ye Wuwei's voice and slowly opened her eyes. Seeing this face that had been blurred in memory, appeared so clearly in front of me. A self-deprecating smile appeared at the corner of Li Qingyan's mouth. "I'm actually hallucinating." Li Qingyan murmured softly and closed her eyes again. Maybe he was hallucinating from hunger. "The light smoke is not an illusion, I'm back." Ye Wuwei's voice was hoarse, and his throat seemed to be blocked by something, like a blockage in his throat. Hearing this, Li Qingyan opened her eyes again, raised her hand tremblingly, and touched Ye Wuwei's face in disbelief. She couldn't believe this was true, couldn't believe Ye Wuwei was really back. The sense of touch should not be deceiving. It wasn't until the warm feeling came from her fingertips that Li Qingyan believed the scene in front of her. Ye Wuwei is really back. When she needed him most. Raging tears slid down his cheeks. Li Qingyan looked at Ye Wuwei with tearful eyes, her consciousness gradually blurring. Her heartstrings had been too tight over the past year, and recently it had been suppressed to the point of suffocation. Now she finally relaxed, feeling a strong sense of exhaustion and fainted. At this time, two sounds broke through the air. Boss! Boss! A man and a woman appeared behind Ye Wuwei. Seeing Ye Wuwei hugging a woman with tears on his face, the two of them felt like they were struck by lightning. How is this possible? The master of the Temple of Punishment, who was in awe of countless forces, looked down upon the world outside his territory, and was known for his ruthlessness, could actually shed tears. Moreover, it depends on the situation or for a woman. Ye Wuwei suppressed the violent murderous intention in his heart and gently placed Li Qingyan on the sofa. In the corner of the sofa, there is a small yellowed paper ball. Ye Wuwei picked up the paper ball and unfolded it to take a look. There is a sentence above, if you encounter difficulties in the future, don't forget to have me. Ye Wuwei 184-88-88. This is a small note Ye Wuwei wrote to Li Qingyan 6 years ago. It has been treasured by Li Qingyan in the sandwich between the mobile phone and the mobile phone case. Li Qingyan thought about calling the phone number on the note thousands of times, but never dialed it. Until today, Scar found him and sent a text message to Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei turned around suddenly, his eyes like arrows shooting towards Scar. Plop! Scar trembled with fright and fell to his knees. This is the notorious leader of the 4 gold medal thugs of the Black Dragon Gang who has been domineering in Zhongcheng for many years. His name can make men turn pale, women scream, and children stop crying. At this moment, under Ye Wuwei's eyes, he couldn't hold on for a second and was paralyzed with fear. This look was so terrifying, it seemed like it was going to eat him alive. In front of Ye Wuwei, he did not dare to have any thoughts of confrontation. He had never seen such a terrifying existence. Just one look made his back feel like a ray of light, an unprecedented panic filled his chest. In front of someone like Ye Wuwei, who had a fierce aura, he realized that his previous fierceness was so ridiculous and powerless. Ye Wuwei moved his feet, and a series of afterimages appeared. The next second, he appeared in front of Scar. He leaned over slightly, grabbed Scar's neck, and lifted Scar's strong body like a chicken. Causes and consequences. That child, where is he? Ye Wuwei stared into Scar's eyes, his voice was cold and bone-chilling, like a demonic sound coming from hell. Scar had no doubt that if he dared to hide it at this moment, he would be strangled to death. The man in front of him who was more terrifying than the devil would never hesitate at all. With this extremely strong murderous intent in him, how many people would he have to kill to be so terrifying? Brother, have mercy on me, others asked me to do this. Scar cried for mercy. However, before he could finish his words, a sharp pain suddenly appeared that shot straight to the sky. Scar raised his head and let out a heart-rending cry. His entire left arm, all the bones were shattered by Ye Wuwei's palm, and the meridians were broken inch by inch, making him extremely painful. Unprecedented severe pain spread throughout Scar's body, and his brain almost exploded. After only shouting once, Scar couldn't shout anymore. Because Ye Wuwei pinched his throat harder and harder. Scar's face turned from red to purple, and from purple to blue. Vaguely, Scar seemed to see the god of death waving to him. The sickle of death has locked onto his throat. The strong sense of suffocation made Scar's whole body extremely uncomfortable due to lack of oxygen. He would rather die than suffer this kind of torture. However, his life and death are now in Ye Wuwei's hands. He talked too much, and Ye Wuwei didn't have the patience to listen to his plea for mercy. Just when Scar had begun to roll his eyes and was about to be strangled to death, Ye Wuwei's hand relaxed slightly. Hu ho ho! Scar was like a fish out of water, opening his mouth wide and inhaling frantically. At this time, rapid footsteps sounded outside. Boss, what happened? What's wrong? Several doubtful questions came in. Ye Wuwei's eyes were indifferent and he said coldly, Yalu. The man who had just arrived among the man and woman said respectfully, Boss. Ye Wuwei's cold voice was laced with a chilling murderous intent, don't leave any trash fish outside. Yes. Yalu nodded and went straight to kill. The man and woman who had just arrived were Yalu and Yeju among the 18 guardians of the Temple of Punishment. The 18 protectors are all in order of number, and their surname is Ye Wuwei. The key members of the Temple of Punishment are the 4 heavenly kings, the 9 divine envoys, and the 18 protectors. The 4 heavenly kings and the 9 divine envoys were mostly combatants directly involved in the battle. The 18 guardians are different. Some have very good business talents and are responsible for the operation of many industries under the Temple of Punishment. Some have outstanding intelligence capabilities and are responsible for the intelligence work of the Temple of Punishment. Yalu is responsible for personnel training, and Yeju is responsible for the commercial operations of Zushan Temple in and around Daxia. The 2 of them were closest to Zhongcheng. After learning that Ye Wuwei had destroyed the Killing God Palace, he suddenly rushed to Zhongcheng with murderous intent, so they rushed over immediately. Yeju saw a surveillance camera in the room and immediately left the room to look for the surveillance room. As soon as Yalu and Yeju left, the room became quiet. Ye Wuwei looked at Scar like a dead man, and the coldness in his eyes almost froze Scar's consciousness. Hearing the screams coming from outside the room, Scar was horrified and said with a trembling voice, "Brother, Li Qingyan. I didn't catch Miss Li. I am from the Black Dragon Gang, and I was arrested by the leader of the gang. Miss Li owes us 100,000, and the gang leader asked me to raise the interest to 1 million. I don't know the specific reason. I just followed orders." Scar didn't dare to hide anything and quickly confessed the truth. After hearing what Scar said, Ye Wuwei relaxed his hands. Bang! Scar fell to the ground. He breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that he had escaped. Crack! Ye Wuwei stepped on Scar's thigh. A strong force broke into Scar's thigh arbitrarily, and the bones of the entire leg were broken inch by inch, the meridians were shattered, and the skin and flesh were torn apart. Scar lay on the ground and let out a shrill wail. The excruciating pain made his face distorted, and the pain was so painful that it was worse than death. At this time, Yalu and Yeju walked into the room. Yalu said respectfully, "Boss, everything is solved." Yeju took out his mobile phone and gritted his teeth and said, "Boss, these dogs deserve to die. They didn't even spare the little girl, and even threatened the child's life." Ye Wuwei took the phone and took a look. Seeing that Scar actually threatened Li Qingyan with her daughter's life. Seeing the desperate and helpless scene of Li Qingyan. The overwhelming murderous intent spurted out. His eyes radiated 2 fierce lights, and he said in a cold voice, "Child, where are you?" Scar was horrified, holding back the heartbreaking pain, and said in a trembling voice, "At the headquarters of the Black Dragon Gang, Tiansheng Entertainment City." Hearing this, Ye Wuwei struck out with an angry palm. With all his bones shattered and blood flowing, Scar will witness his death with his own eyes. Li Qingyan said he would not die a good death, and Ye Wuwei told him not to die a good death. Yeju, send Qingyan to the hospital. Yalu, check the location of Tiansheng Entertainment City. Ye Wuwei was filled with murderous aura. Tonight, there is destined to be a killing spree. Chapter 4. Tiansheng Entertainment City. Tianzi number 1 box. Steward Lu, let me propose another toast to you. I also ask Butler Lu to say a few kind words for me in front of young Master Zhao. Wang is a man who knows how to repay his kindness and will never forget Butler Liu's kindness. In the private room, people were drinking, and it was very lively. Wang Baxian, the leader of the Black Dragon Gang who has dominated Zhongcheng for many years, is now as humble as a horseboy. The steward Lu who made him grovel was a thin middle-aged man. Faced with the favor of Wang Baxian, the leader of the Black Dragon Gang, Butler Lu seemed calm and indifferent. He raised his glass with a slight smile and said calmly, "That's easy to say. As long as you do things well this time, Mr. Zhao will not forget you." Hearing this, Wang Baxian was overjoyed. He directly drank the wine in the glass, touched his bald head excitedly, and said cheerfully, with Butler Liu's words, "I feel relieved. Don't worry, Li Qingyan has been forced to a dead end. When Mr. Zhao comes to rescue the beauty tomorrow, she will definitely be grateful and pledge her body to him. Steward Lu, let me ask you boldly, is Zhao Xiaobiu going into such a big game just for one Li Qingyan? Then Li Qingyan is just a ruined flower and a willow, and she also carries a bottle of oil. With young Master Zhao's vision and family background, do you really think highly of her?" In his opinion, with the status of young Master Zhao, why should he spend so much effort on a woman? The capital of Zhongzhou is Longcheng, 100 kilometers away from Zhongcheng. Not to mention in Dragon City, even if you look at the entire Zhongzhou, the Zhao family is well deserved to be the top wealthy family. Butler Lu looked calm and said calmly, "You and I are not able to figure out what young Master Zhao is thinking. However, I have heard some rumors. Then Li Qingyan and Mr. Zhao were college classmates. A few years ago, Mr. Zhao launched an offensive to pursue her, but she rejected him. Not long after, news came out that Li Qingyan was pregnant, and then Mr. Zhao went abroad to study and only came back this year. Perhaps it is love that breeds hatred, or perhaps the lingering feelings are lingering, and young Master Zhao is thinking about Li Qingyan again. However, it is impossible for Li Qingyan to marry into the Zhao family now. After Mr. Zhao succeeds, he will probably just play around casually. Hearing this, Wang Baxian showed a look of surprise. No wonder Mr. Zhao is so interested in Li Qingyan. It turns out that he has these inside stories. I see, Mr. Zhao is really a nostalgic person. Wang Baxian raised his wine glass with emotion and said with a smile, "Drink, drink, let us help Mr. Zhao get rid of this worry this time." The Zhao family in Longcheng has a big business. If they ask him to do something this time, they think highly of him. The sons of the current head of the Zhao family are all among the best. Among them, Zhao Bolan, the boss, has even reached the second echelon of power in Daxia, holding huge power. Today, the Zhao family is prospering and is expected to leave Zhangzhou and become one of the second-rate families in the entire Great Xia. The current address of the Zhao family was once a royal palace in the old days. Secretly, some people even called the current head of the Zhao family the king of Zhangzhou. The influence of the Zhao family in Zhangzhou can be imagined. Whether he can achieve great success, get out of Zhongcheng and move towards a wider world depends on whether he can climb the high branch of the Zhao family this time. Bang! At this moment, the door of the box was pushed open hard, and a man in black ran in panic. Seeing the anxious look of the man in black, Wang Baxian immediately glared and scolded, "Didn't you see that I was entertaining distinguished guests? Get out!" The man in black looked anxious and said nervously, "Boss, I just received news that there is a situation in the villa. All the brothers who stayed there are dead, and Li Qingyan has also disappeared. Brother Scar was severely injured. His bones were broken and he couldn't even speak. I'm afraid he won't live long. In addition, Zhang Jinwei's daughter Zhang Shui came to our entertainment city with a group of bodyguards." Butler Liu's expression changed, he stood up suddenly, and said sternly, "What did you say? Li Qingyan is missing." The man in black nodded in fear, not daring to speak. Butler Liu looked at Wang Baxian and said in a deep voice, "Gang leader Wang, don't let Mr. Zhao down." At this moment, Wang Baxian's bald head was already covered with sweat. He never imagined that something would go wrong. Wang Baxian's eyes flashed fiercely, and he said seriously, "Don't worry, Butler Liu, I will definitely handle it properly. Zhang Shui is Li Qingyan's friend. Li Qingyan was most likely rescued by her." Butler Liu's eyes narrowed and he said coldly, "So, that Zhang Shui came to the entertainment city now to save that little girl. Steward Liu is a wise man." Wang Baxian flattered him at the right moment. "Fortunately, I separated Li Qingyan from the little girl before. I originally wanted young Master Zhao to show his power twice in front of Li Qingyan, but I didn't expect that now it actually came in handy. That little girl is Li Qingyan's lifeblood. As long as she is in my hands, Li Qingyan can't escape." Butler Liu nodded, "Take care of it as soon as possible, I only want to see the result. Be careful. I felt a very powerful energy appearing in Zhongcheng before. It should be that a strong martial artist has come to Zhongcheng." "A strong martial artist? Li Qingyan's only friend in Zhongcheng is Zhang Shui. That martial arts expert should have nothing to do with Li Qingyan. Don't worry, Butler Liu." Wang Baxian bent down slightly and quickly left the box. Tiansheng Entertainment City. Lobby. Wang Baxian put his hands behind his back and said coldly, "Has everything been arranged?" A little boss raised the steel rod in his hand and smiled proudly, "Boss, don't worry. We are all our people here inside and outside. There are about 100 people. As long as Zhang Shui dares to come, she can never come back." The Black Dragon Gang's vicious reputation in Zhongcheng was truly earned. I am not unfamiliar with today's battle. Therefore, these people did not have any fear, but were very excited. However, Wang Baxian was not so optimistic. The people below don't know, but he knows it very well. Everyone in the villa was dead. This is not something Zhang Shui can do. Only her father Zhang Jinwei has this skill and courage. Zhang Jinwei may be the mastermind behind the scenes. Didn't Mr. Zhao already send someone to put pressure on Zhang Jinwei? How dare Zhang Jinwei interfere in this matter? Zhang Jinwei was born in the military, and he and the commander-in-chief of the Zhongcheng garrison were once comrades in arms, a lifelong friendship. Now he has opened a security company in Zhongcheng, with many bodyguards under his command. He is a person who is not easy to mess with. If he intervenes forcefully, things will be in trouble. Zhang Jinwei has to guard against this. It seems that I can only come up with some trump cards. Wang Baxian squinted his eyes, picked up his phone and sent a text message. Not long after. Boom boom boom. Boom. Off-road vehicles roared over and parked outside Tiansheng Entertainment City. Then, a woman with a frosty face angrily got out of the car and rushed to Tiansheng Entertainment City with a large group of bodyguards. This girl is Li Qingyan's only friend in Zhongcheng, Zhang Shuet. A young man from the Black Dragon gang pretended to come forward to stop him, but was directly thrown aside by the strong bodyguard. Wang Baxian just watched in the lobby without saying a word. These are old tricks. Let the people in first, then it will be easier to close the door and beat the dog. Seeing Zhang Shui leading people into the lobby, Wang Baxian said cheerfully, Miss Zhang put up such a big show to come to my place, why are you doing this? Zhang Shui's face was gloomy and she shouted sweetly, Wang Baxian, you know very well why I came. Leave the person to me, and I will pretend that what happened today never happened. Don't try to make excuses. I already have the exact information. It was you who did it. Zhang Shui became furious when she thought that Li Qingyan and Xiao Nian were having such a hard time and this BD still bullied them. She didn't know that Li Qingyan had been rescued by Ye Wuwei, and thought that both of them were in Wang Baxian's hands. Wang Baxian confirmed his previous guess. This BCH is here to steal that little girl. Seeing that the time was ripe, Wang Baxian smiled coldly, your dad still has some weight, is it just you? Close the door. Hit the dog. The words just fell. Bang bang. The heavy door of the lobby was slammed shut. A large group of Black Dragon gang members armed with sticks rushed out from the corridors on both sides of the lobby. All of them were aggressive and had a ferocious smile on their lips. In an instant, Zhang Shui and the bodyguards were surrounded. This fierce battle made Zhang Shui's face turn pale with fright. She was so eager to save people that she forgot for a moment how cruel the Black Dragon gang's methods were. Wang Baxian waved his hand and shouted loudly, hit me. If you beat him to death, I will be responsible. All the bodyguards looked ugly, and their hearts sank to the bottom. Quickly form a defensive formation to protect Zhang Shui in the middle. Do it. Kill them. These bodyguards wore protective suits and knocked on their kneecaps. Ah! The entire lobby instantly became a mess. Scoops, yells, screams, and other sounds were mixed together. Most of the bodyguards are retired personnel recruited by Zhang Jinwei, and their individual combat capabilities are higher than those of the Black Dragon gang, who lick blood from their swords. However, tigers cannot hold off a pack of wolves. Faced with heavy siege, they can only shrink their defense and find it difficult to show their full potential. After the conflict broke out, some bodyguards were injured quickly, but they could only grit their teeth and endure. Someone in the Black Dragon gang was also injured, but someone was immediately there to make up for it. The gap in numbers was too big, and it was only a matter of time before the defensive circle was breached. Boom! Suddenly, the heavy door in the lobby was forcibly opened, and sawdust flew everywhere. Wang Baxian, do you want to die? A majestic figure walked into the lobby, his voice was deep and thick, suppressing the violent anger. Chapter 5. A low roar resounded throughout the entire lobby. A tyrannical momentum surged forward instantly, causing everyone in the Black Dragon gang to panic. The person who came was none other than Zhang Shui's father, Zhang Jinwei, the founder of Jinwei Security Group. Zhang Jinwei was once an operations captain in the Zhengzi Army, one of the 4 major frontier armies in Daxia. The Zhengzi Army guards the western frontier of Daxia and is known as the king of land warfare among the border armies of Daxia. Zhang Jinwei is a fierce warrior who has seen blood on the battlefield and personally captured and killed mercenaries who illegally crossed the border and enemy border troops. Even after he retired, he still had an iron-blooded aura about him. There are different levels of warriors, and the most well-known is the 6th level of warriors. A 1st-grade Grand Master, a 2nd-grade Martial Arts Master, a 3rd-grade Martial King, a 4th-grade Martial Artist, a 5th-grade Warrior, and a 6th-grade Martial Apprentice. In each level, there are 3 levels, Junior High School and High School. Zhang Jinwei is a 5th-grade warrior, and he is also a leader among warriors. More importantly, Zhang Jinwei came from the border army and has rich practical experience. Looking at the entire Zhang city, there are no more than one pair of warriors whose combat power is higher than Zhang Jinwei's. Even a 4th-grade martial artist would not easily provoke Zhang Jinwei. Seeing Zhang Jinwei rushing in with murderous intent, Wang Baxian's heart trembled. Wang Baxian is also a 5th-grade warrior, and a high-level warrior. Despite this, Wang Baxian had no chance of winning against Zhang Jinwei. According to his understanding, Zhang Jinwei was once a 4th-level martial artist, but he fell to the warrior level after being seriously injured in a battle and having physical problems. Although Wang Baxian has a reputation for being evil, he never provokes Zhang Jinwei easily. First, Zhang Jinwei's personal combat ability is strong. Second, the commander-in-chief of the Zhangcheng garrison is Zhang Jinwei's comrade in arms. No matter from any aspect, provoking Zhang Jinwei has no benefit. But things are different today. Even if Zhang Jinwei is not easy to mess with, Wang Baxian will fight to the end. Wang Baxian smiled but said, "Brother Zhang, what do you mean? We, the Black Dragon Gang, and you have never been at odds with each other. Are you trying to provoke a dispute by forcing your way into our Black Dragon Gang?" Wang Baxian was very good at this kind of thing. Zhang Jinwei has a Huxia character face and a pair of deep eyes under his thick eyebrows. His eyes were fierce and he said coldly, "Wang Baxian, if you dare to attack my daughter, I think you are tired of living." With that said, Zhang Jinwei walked towards Zhang Shui and others step by step. The members of the Black Dragon Gang in front of him did not dare to stop him and retreated to both sides. Seeing this, the bodyguards breathed a sigh of relief. Zhang Shui walked up to Zhang Jinwei with a pale face, tears welling up in her eyes. She lowered her head timidly and whispered, "Dad." It was Zhang Shui's own decision to bring bodyguards to the Black Dragon Gang's lair to fish for people, without Zhang Jinwei's consent. Zhang Jinwei glared at his daughter and scolded in a low voice, "I'll settle the score with you when I get back." Zhang Shui pursed her lips and said nothing with a guilty conscience. "Brother Zhang, we drink from the same river. Since you are here in person, I will be more generous and won't pursue anything today. If there is a next time, don't blame me for being cruel." Wang Baxian's voice came over. Zhang Jinwei saw that his daughter was fine. Although the bodyguards were injured, they were not fatal, and he did not want to bother with her anymore. After all, it was Zhang Shui who broke into the Black Dragon Gang's lair today. Zhang Jinwei's eyes flickered, he hesitated to speak, and finally made up his mind and said in a deep voice, "Walk." After that, he turned around and walked out. "Dad." Zhang Shui held Zhang Jinwei's hand tightly, her eyes dim with tears, her face full of pleading, and she said in a trembling voice, "Dad. Qingyan and Nian are still in their hands, please save them." Zhang Jinwei stiffened. How could he not know about this? How could he not want to save her? But he now has a wife and daughter and a family of his own. If he interferes in this matter, he may not be able to save his wife and daughter. The force that put pressure on him was beyond his reach. Zhang Jinwei just pretended not to know that Zhang Shui secretly gave Li Qingyan 100,000 yuan. This was already his concession. "Go home." Zhang Jinwei's voice was cold and unmistakable. Seeing his father's inhumane appearance, Zhang Shui's tears suddenly flowed down. She once thought that her father was the most powerful person in the world, upright and omnipotent. Zhang Shui silently let go of Zhang Jinwei's hand, sobbed softly, and kept wiping away tears. But tears are like broken beads, they keep falling. She cried for the situation of Li Qingyan and Xiao Nian. "I was also saddened by the cruel truth that my father was not an omnipotent hero." Seeing Zhang Shui's pitiful appearance with tears streaming down her face, Zhang Jinwei's heart twitched and he had mixed feelings. When he was young, he also had the character of slaying the dragon when it was there and making peace when it was unfair. But the years have already smoothed his edges. Seeing his daughter's sad look, Zhang Jinwei felt helpless. He hesitated for 2 seconds. Zhang Jinwei turned his head and looked at Wang Baxian not far away, and said in a deep voice, "How much money does Li Qingyan still owe you? I will help her pay it back." Hearing this, the smile on Wang Baxian's face gradually turned cold, and he said coldly, "Zhang Jinwei, don't meddle in other people's business. I heard that your Jinwei group has had a lot of trouble recently and is under great financial pressure. Don't you still know what's going on?" Zhang Jinwei was silent and spoke again, "How much?" Upon hearing these 3 words, Wang Baxian narrowed his eyes. This means that Zhang Jinwei will intervene forcefully. Wang Baxian looked livid and said coldly, 1 million. Zhang Jinwei, I will release him. Wang Baxian slapped his forehead and sneered, sorry, I was confused. I forgot a zero, which is 10 million. Hearing this, Zhang Jinwei's eyes flashed coldly. Obviously, the money owed was just a cover, and Wang Baxian had no intention of letting him go. If he didn't take action, the lives of the poor mother and daughter might be in danger. Zhang Jinwei grabbed Zhang Shue's hand and pushed it out of the door. At the same time, he whispered, take them away and take your mother out of Zhongcheng as quickly as possible. After I rescue their mother and daughter, I will join you. Looking at Zhang Jinwei's serious face, Zhang Shui was panicked. She realized that her father might be in trouble because of her. Dad. Walk. Zhang Jinwei pushed Zhang Shui away without saying a word. The bodyguards quickly pulled the pale-faced Zhang Shui away. Seeing this situation, Wang Baxian sneered, what, do you want something hard? Zhang Jinwei's body shook, and his bones crackled. Looking at the members of the Black Dragon gang holding sticks opposite him, Zhang Jinwei's blood boiled all over his body, his momentum increased steadily, and he suddenly had the feeling of facing the enemy on the battlefield. I've put up with you bastards for a long time. Zhang Jinwei roared violently and charged directly towards the crowd. Crack! Don't kill me! Boss, help! Zhang Jinwei is like a tiger among wolves, killing everyone. He was shaking with excitement, as if he had a huge amount of power waiting to be unleashed. Wang Baxian knew he was outmatched, but he could only bite the bullet. However, Zhang Jinwei, who was highly motivated to fight, was simply not something he could resist. Boom! After only 3 moves, Wang Baxian was knocked back with one punch, spurting out a large mouthful of blood. Seeing Zhang Jinwei's eyes flashing coldly as he rushed towards him, Wang Baxian felt anxious. Why haven't the reinforcements arrived yet? Bang! Wang Baxian was whipped away by Zhang Jinwei and hit the wall so hard that his waist almost burst. Just then, a violent momentum appeared behind Zhang Jinwei. The hair on Zhang Jinwei's body stood up, and he was horrified. He reflexively turned around to block, but was struck back 7 steps by an understatement of the hand knife. Every step shook the tiles beneath my feet into powder. Seeing the person coming, Zhang Jinwei's heart trembled and his eyes were full of disbelief. The person who came was an old man wearing a tang suit, with a thin face and a goatee. He is the belief of countless warriors in Zhongcheng, the #1 master in Zhongcheng, Wang Qiahua. Wang Qiahua is a member of the Wang family, the head of the 4 major families in Zhongcheng. Zhang Jinwei's face was full of anger and he shouted, your Wang family is actually connected with the Black Dragon gang. The Wang family has a good reputation in Zhongcheng. They actively participate in public welfare undertakings and take the lead in doing many good things. But who would have thought that the Wang family would be involved with the notorious Black Dragon gang? Faced with Zhang Jinwei's questioning, Wang Qiahua looked calm and said leisurely, any family that wants to grow stronger must walk on 2 legs, black and white. When you see me here today, I can't keep you here anymore. Don't hold out hope for your comrades. Our commander-in-chief of the Zhongcheng garrison will not be able to come. Hearing this, Zhang Jinwei's eyes darkened. Did he hurt his old comrades? Immediately, a fanatical fighting spirit arose in him. Zhang Jinwei smiled ferociously, even if I die, I still have to weigh the weight of your old bones. Wang Qiahua looked indifferent, after retiring for so many years, I still smell like a soldier. If you block the car with your arms, you will die. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Qiahua's aura surged, and his eyes became increasingly sinister. Feeling the violent aura on Wang Qiahua's body, Zhang Jinwei's heart sank. It seems that today I have to explain it here. Just then, a strange situation occurred. The aura on Wang Qiahua's body disappeared inexplicably. His old body was shaking non-stop, trembling as if walking on thin ice. Zhang Jinwei was startled and suddenly looked towards the door. Now, the entrance to the lobby. 2 strange men appeared here at some unknown time, standing at the door one behind the other. The heroic man in front looked at everyone expressionlessly, and the coldness in his eyes made people's hearts tremble. This person is Ye Wuwei who came here. The person behind him is naturally Ye Lu. Chapter 6. Others noticed something strange and looked at the door as well. At this time, Ye Wuwei and Ye Lu were not showing off their aura, and these people could not feel their power at all. The #1 master in Zhongcheng, Wang Qiahua, was trembling because he was locked alone by Ye Wuwei's qi machine, so he did not dare to move at this moment. Among all the people, Only Zhang Jinwei noticed it. For what? Get away now, or I'll chop you both down later. A small leader yelled toward the door fiercely, trying to scare the two away. Ye Wuwei was expressionless and motionless. A little piece of trash, he doesn't deserve to be dealt with at all. Ye Lius narrowed his eyes, and like an arrow from the string, he shot quickly in front of the little boss. Before the little leader could scream, Ye Lu grabbed his throat. Crack! Simply and neatly send this little boss to his death. The speed Ye Lu showed made Zhang Jinwei and everyone in the Black Dragon gang go numb. Is this still a human being? This horse riding is like a soul floating over. Ye Lu looked around the audience and shouted coldly, where is the leader of the Black Dragon gang? As soon as these words came out, everyone in the gang shrank. The Black Dragon gang members who surrounded Wang Baxian walked away silently, exposing Wang Baxian lying in the corner. There was no way, Ye Lu acted too decisively. If they hesitated for a moment, they were afraid that Ye Lu would pinch their necks. You bastards! Wang Baxian vomited blood and cursed angrily. He was so angry that he died. These dogs usually shout slogans louder than anyone else, and run faster than anyone else when they encounter trouble. Ye Lu moved his feet and quickly appeared in front of Wang Baxian. He raised his hand and crushed Wang Baxian's shoulder, then threw him into the center of the lobby. Bang! The entire lobby shook, and spider web-like cracks appeared on the floor in the center of the lobby. Wang Baxian's body was bent like a prawn, he was vomiting blood, and his whole body seemed to fall apart. He was covered in cold sweat and was in so much pain that he couldn't even cry out in pain. Dong dong dong! Ye Wuwei stepped forward, and every step seemed to step on everyone's heart. With every step he took, Ye Wuwei's frightening aura became more violent. It was like a world-destroying demon descended into the mortal world. The invisible pressure made everyone dare not even breathe, and they were sweating profusely. Everyone present knew very well that the demonic and terrifying person who had just attacked was just a subordinate of this man. Even his subordinates are so scary, how scary is this man? Come to Wang Baxian's side. Ye Wuwei looked down at Wang Baxian, his voice cold and bone-chilling, where is that child? Wang Baxian's body trembled, and he looked at Wang Qiahua in horror. He endured the severe pain and said in a trembling voice, Third Grandpa, save me. Although Wang Qiahua was frightened, he still forced himself to hold his hand towards Ye Wuwei with warrior etiquette. Little friend, I don't know. The words are not finished yet. Bang! Ye Wuwei waved his hand casually, and a bloody hole was blasted out of Wang Qiahua's chest, and a large ball of red powder flew behind him. Wang Qiahua looked down at his chest in disbelief, and then looked at Ye Wuwei in horror. Hurt people from a distance. Who is he? Boom! Wang Qiahua fell to the ground suddenly. His eyes were wide open and he would not close his eyes to death. Even after he died, his eyes were still filled with fear. Seeing this scene, the lobby fell into dead silence. Wang Baxian and others looked at Ye Wuwei in horror, feeling an unprecedented storm in their hearts. How is this possible? The number one master in Zhongcheng was instantly killed with one palm? That is a veteran 4th grade martial artist who has been famous for many years. This is an unparalleled existence in the Zhongcheng martial arts world. Even a 3rd grade martial king with monstrous combat power couldn't kill him so easily, could he? At this moment, the shadow of death swallowed up Wang Baxian and others. Their nerves seemed to be grabbed by someone, and they felt tingling pains. Everyone in the Black Dragon gang looked pale and their hearts were ashen. Wang Baxian was so frightened that his liver and gallbladder burst. He looked at Ye Wuwei in horror, as if he was seeing a peerless demon who slaughtered hundreds of millions of lives. In Wang Baxian's frightened and desperate eyes, Ye Wuwei's eyes moved to him again. Ye Wuwei said nothing, but his cold and piercing eyes made Wang Baxian tremble with fear. Do you want to find Li Nianwei? Ye Wuwei's cruel methods made Wang Baxian dare not hide it. He usually bullies good people and does many evil things. He considers himself an out-and-out ruthless person. But now that he saw Ye Wuwei, he understood what a real ruthless person looked like. Nianwei. Fear. Hearing this name, Ye Wuwei's nose felt sour. I, Ye Wuwei, am the one who is sorry for not protecting you too. From now on, you will never be left alone and helpless in such dangerous situations as today. Not far away, Zhang Jinwei's eyes lit up and he said in surprise, You are also here to rescue Li Qingyan and Xiao Nian. Ye Wuwei glanced at him, nodded, then pinched Wang Baxian's neck and said coldly, Where is he? Seeing Ye Wuwei's cold eyes at close range, Wang Baxian trembled wildly and said in horror, "I told you, can you let me go?" The words just fell. Wang Baxian looked up to the sky and roared, his body twisting in pain. One of his arms has been twisted into a twist. Looking at Ye Wuwei's cold gaze, Wang Baxian's psychological defense collapsed, crying and wailing loudly, I said. Locked in the bathroom of box 3 on the 4th floor. Locked in the bathroom? Ye Lu raised his eyebrows and became furious. Boss, this BD dares to treat the little princess like this. Leave him to me. I guarantee that it will be difficult for him to die. Ye Wuwei's anger surged and he twisted Wang Baxian's other hand. Then he threw Wang Baxian towards Ye Lu like throwing garbage. He turned his head to look at Zhang Jinwei and said coldly, except for him, no one else will be left. Before he finished speaking, Ye Wuwei flashed his body and shot towards the stairs quickly. With anxiety and trepidation, Ye Wuwei appeared at the door of box 3 on the 4th floor. Blast the wooden door of the box to pieces and enter the box. With just one glance, Ye Wuwei's heart trembled. He saw that the bathroom door was open and the man on duty at the door had been knocked down. This is not normal. When he came to the bathroom, he saw that Ye Wuwei's anger was rising steadily, and the boiling blood ignited all his anger. Bring that BD up here. With a violent roar, the surrounding glass shook wildly, resounding throughout the entertainment city. When Wang Baxian was brought to the box, he was already covered in blood and filled with the stench of feces and urine. Ye Wuwei threw Wang Baxian into the bathroom and said angrily, "Where are the people?" Wang Baxian turned his head with difficulty, looked at the empty bathroom, and shook his head in horror, I don't know. Don't let him die too quickly." Ye Wuwei roared and left quickly. He saw that there was a surveillance camera in this box, and the surveillance position could see the situation in the bathroom. Find the control room and the truth will naturally come to light. Arriving at the surveillance room on the 2nd floor, Ye Wuwei broke in, raised his hand and beat the members of the Black Dragon gang hiding inside into pieces, and then quickly checked the surveillance of box 3. Seeing his daughter locked in the bathroom, slapped several times, and kicked, the surging murderous intent in Ye Wuwei almost solidified. Seeing that little figure shivering in the corner of the bathroom, Ye Wuwei was so angry that his whole body trembled, and tears flowed down uncontrollably. How helpless and desperate must she have been at that time? These beasts deserve to be cut to pieces. Those desperate and helpless dad sounds were like sharp knives piercing Ye Wuwei's heart. Ye Wuwei's heart was as sharp as a knife. He suppressed his overwhelming anger and pulled the progress bar to the end with trembling hands. I saw a man shrouded in a black robe rush into the box and hurriedly took Li Nianwei away. Ah! Ye Wuwei could no longer suppress his turbulent emotions and kicked the machine in front of him to pieces. He took out his cell phone and roared, all combatants from the Temple of Punishment will assemble in Daxia Zhongcheng immediately. I want to kill this Zhongcheng. Chapter 7. Boom. Over Zhongcheng, dark clouds pressed down on the city, and there was lightning and thunder. The violent thunder resounded through the heaven and the earth, showing the majesty of heaven. Within a radius of 2 kilometers, Ye Wuwei's roar continued to echo. The bold ones dared to look in the direction of Tiansheng Entertainment City, while many timid ones were frightened to the point of incontinence. Everyone was in panic, and an indescribable fear arose in their hearts. On a roof 1 kilometer away from Tiansheng Entertainment City, a burly man heard this roar and his expression changed wildly. This person was none other than the Qingyan war god Hai Boping, the #1 god of war in Great Xia, who rushed to Zhongcheng as quickly as possible. Is it still a step too late? As the Great Xia god of war, Hai Boping knew very well how powerful the Zhu temple was. Zhu Shenhen gathered in Zhongcheng, let alone a small Zhongcheng, even the entire Zhongzhou could be killed. Quick! 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 Full speed ahead! Hai Boping roared towards the back, and then flew towards Tiansheng Entertainment City. In the darkness behind, a large group of warriors wearing special combat uniforms quickly walked through the darkness. These are Hai Boping's most elite warriors, the Qingyan guards. He originally thought that he would be able to control the situation by bringing 100 Qingyan guard masters with him. Now it seems a bit whimsical. Hai Boping was so anxious that his figures flashed one after another and came to the lobby of Tiansheng Entertainment City. Seeing the corpses on the floor in the lobby, Hai Boping's heart sank to the bottom. It's too late after all. Tragedy has happened. What kind of BD dared to provoke the Lord of the Temple of Killing? Who the hell gave him the courage? Damn thing! Hai Boping followed the guidance of the terrifying aura and came to the second floor. As soon as he stepped onto the second floor, a terrifying figure came into view. Hai Boping's heart trembled, and he cupped his hands and said, "Master Ye." He did not greet Ye Wuwei as the great Xia god of war, but greeted him with warrior etiquette in order not to intensify the conflict. The person at the other end of the corridor was Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei noticed the aura of Qingyan war god Hai Boping. "Qingyan god of war, Hai Boping. You want to stop me?" Ye Wuwei's eyes were blood red, his voice was hoarse, and there was a bit of murderous intent. Hai Boping's scalp felt numb, as if he wanted to eat people whenever he opened his mouth. He is not afraid of fighting Ye Wuwei, but once the two fight, Zhongcheng will be destroyed. "Palace Master Ye, you have always been steady. What happened to you that made you lose your composure? Your daughter has been arrested, her whereabouts are unknown, and her life or death is unknown. Can you be calm?" Hearing this, the color of the waves changed drastically. "The daughter of the Lord of the Killing Temple? Isn't that the little princess from the Temple of Death? What son of Abch dares to capture the little princess who killed the temple? Not to mention the master of the Temple of Punishment in front of him, it is estimated that the four kings of the Temple of Punishment can make Daxia restless. So that's what happened, I didn't know about it. Palace Master Ye, please calm down. I will send someone to investigate. I will definitely give an explanation to Palace Master Ye." Hai Boping was so angry that his body was shaking, and he had to try his best to comfort Ye Wuwei to avoid unnecessary disputes. "Boss, we found it." The man in black robe appeared once at the northwest intersection after leaving the entertainment city. "Search over there and you will definitely find the little princess." Ye Lu ran out of the monitoring room. He just gave the information about Tiansheng Entertainment City to the intelligence department of Zushan Temple. The intelligence department broke through the firewall of Jiangqing's surveillance network, took Tiansheng Entertainment City as the center point, expanded outward, and found clues. "Walk!" Ye Wuwei gave a deep shout and left quickly. The intelligence department of the Temple of Punishment is working hard to find the whereabouts of the man in black robes. Once there is the latest information, Ye Wuwei will be informed immediately. Ye Lu followed closely behind and left quickly. At the same time, Hai Boping's roar came from Tiansheng Entertainment City. "Where is the capital of Zhongcheng City? Are you drunk? Give him a few FG slaps and bring him here to me. Pass my order, all members of the Zhongcheng Garrison and Zhongcheng Security Bureau will be dispatched to immediately blockade the entire Zhongcheng. Train stations, bus stations, airports, highways, all channels connecting to the outside world are equipped with cards. Without my permission, I am not allowed to fly out of Zhongcheng. The whole city is under martial law and no one is allowed to go out." The cyber force immediately looked for the little girl and immediately notified the ground operations team if there was any situation. Apply the shadow force stationed in Zhongcheng to intervene and make every effort to find and ensure the safety of the little girl. The Zhongzhou War Department rushed to assist Zhongcheng from the outside and set up checkpoints along the way. "I don't care how many gangsters there are in Zhongcheng, no matter how big their background is, if anyone dares to mislead me, I will kill him with my own hands." Hai Boping's eyes turned red. "We must find the little girl before the large forces of temple killing arrive. Otherwise, let alone Zhongcheng, the sky in this summer would be stained with blood." Hai Boping knew something that even the commander of the War Department, Chen Chaozong, didn't know. He knows the details of Ye Wuwei. Once during a secret operation in cooperation with Ryaga, he met the captain of Ryaga's 1st Brigade, the man codenamed Shura. He had heard many stories about Shura. The craziest thing Shura has ever done is to take over a secret military base of the Sun Never Sets Empire near Daxia all by himself. Under siege by tens of thousands of troops, he single-handedly killed the 3 war gods of the empire where the sun never sets, plus a country-level powerhouse. A year ago, the largest underground organization in Japan, the Baiki Group, is causing trouble in the East Daxia Sea. The East Daxia Sea is Haiboping's defense zone. Hearing that the Baiki Group had dispatched 3 top jounin and a divine ninja, Hai Boping rushed over personally. By the time he arrived, the battle was nearing its end. He saw the man again. However, that man has become the fierce and powerful master of the Temple of Punishment. All information about Longya is top secret. Therefore, the secret that Ye Wuwei, the master of the Temple of Execution, came from Longya, has always been rotten in his stomach, and no one has told it. He knew how terrifying the angry Ye Wuwei was. No normal person can enter Dragon Fang. At the same time, Hai Boping regarded Ye Wuwei as a comrade in his heart. A person who has paid so much for Daxia should not be let down by Daxia. Hai Boping was the first to refuse to agree to anyone touching his daughter. Therefore, within the scope of his power, he mobilized all the forces he could mobilize to find Ye Wuwei's daughter. Not only to appease Ye Wuwei, but also sincerely to protect the little girl. Following Hai Boping's instructions, one after another was issued. The whole Zhongcheng was shaken. In the dark night, tanks roared onto the streets, controlling all traffic arteries. No matter how big a person is, all movement without permission is prohibited and the whole city is under martial law. Railway stations, bus stations, airports, and highways are all controlled by teams of armed warriors. All networks are restricted and contact with the outside world is prohibited. Countless people in Zhongcheng were frightened and had a premonition that the storm was coming. The whole Zhongzhou was shocked. Combat preparation personnel from various branches of the Zhongzhou War Department set out immediately and rushed to Zhongcheng from all directions. All suspicious persons are strictly investigated in Zhongzhou, and all entertainment industries are closed. The whole Zhongzhou has become much more depressed. Countless people have the same sentence in their minds: the rain is coming and the wind is blowing. Chapter 8. Western Continent. Within the territory of Liang Divine Cult. A man with stern eyes put down his cell phone, and a majestic force rose into the sky, heading straight for the airport. How dare you hurt the little princess of my temple? I will skin you. It was still dusk in the Western Continent at this time. In the golden afterglow of the setting sun, a Vatican knight in golden armor wearing golden armor stood on a big tree and shouted in broken Daxia dialect, Tianxia, if you enter the territory of my holy see at will, do you really think that your temple is invincible in the world? This man with fierce eyes is none other than Tianxia, one of the four kings of the Temple of Punishment. The evil light flashed in Tianxia's eyes, and his face was ferocious. Get out! A violent killing intent burst out, rushing towards the golden-armored knight Guli. The extremely strong killing intent stimulated Guli's complexion to change drastically, as if he smelled a strong smell of blood. He knew that if he made any blocking move, Tianxia would fight him desperately. By then, it will definitely be a bloody battle. The Liang Divine Sect does not want to enmity with the Zushan Temple, there is absolutely no need. Therefore, Gulai stood motionless on the tree and did not stop him. It wasn't until the evil spirit had gone away that Gulai shouted loudly, unwilling to be outdone, come next time, don't blame me for being rude. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and ran away. As the name suggests, the evil spirit is too strong. If you don't pay attention, you will die. Gulai didn't want to fight a fighting madman. What's more, he had more important things to report to the Pope. He found that all the ministries of the Zhu Temple were gathering towards Daxia, and Tianxia, one of the four heavenly kings, rushed to Daxia desperately. Some kind of irreconcilable conflict may have broken out between Daxia and Zushan Temple. The Zhu Temple has always been an invisible barrier to Daxia. If Zushan Temple and Daxia turn against each other, the Liang Divine Sect will have an opportunity. Arctic. Two teams of powerful men were confronting each other. When a graceful woman saw the message, her expression changed and she shouted, all personnel retreat immediately and head to Daxia. Yes. All the strong men wearing the battle uniforms of the Temple of Killing shouted respectfully and quickly retreated. Seeing this scene, the group of strong men from the North Bear country opposite looked at each other. The people from the Temple of Death and the people from the Northern Bear Kingdom discovered this rare metal mine in the Arctic at the same time. The two sides refused to give in to each other and had fought for several times. Today, the god of war from the North Bear country arrived. Tian Shang, one of the four kings of the Temple of Punishment, also arrived. After negotiating for a while, the two sides could not reach a consensus and were ready to start fighting. Unexpectedly, the people who killed the temple suddenly withdrew. Vladimir Yahweh, the god of war of the North Bear Kingdom, looked at the backs of everyone leaving the Temple of Punishment with confusion, and frowned. Something terrible must have happened in the Temple of Punishment, otherwise Tian Shang wouldn't have evacuated directly. The Tian Shang mentioned by the god of war of the Northern Bear country was the woman who just ordered the retreat. Tian Shang is the only woman among the four kings of the Temple of Punishment. King Shang Tian, why did you suddenly withdraw? We are not afraid of the people from the Northern Bear country. Yes, if we really do it, I guarantee that I can kill these 3 second-grade experts. It cost a lot of money to find this rare metal mine, but it's really unacceptable to just give it up to someone like this. Regarding the sudden evacuation, all the masters of the Temple of Punishment were unwilling to accept it. Tian Shang looked in the direction of Daxia and said in a deep voice, "Don't talk nonsense. If the mine is lost, you can still get it back. The eldest brother's daughter has been arrested. Her life or death is uncertain. She must rush to Daxia as quickly as possible." As soon as these words came out, other people's expressions changed wildly and their anger surged. What? The master of the palace has a daughter. I want to see which son of Abch dares to capture our little princess. I'll spread her ashes for him. Quick, quick, I can no longer hold my sword any longer. Everyone was furious and rushed to Daxia as quickly as possible. South Daxia Sea. A Philippine national police boat was chasing several Daxia fishing boats. Ha ha ha, look at these Daxia fishermen, don't they look like a bunch of rats in a hurry? How dare you come here to fish? Do you think I won't find you when I come at night? Let's bump into whoever runs slower. The night is still long, let's play slowly. On the deck of the police boat, a young Filipino general laughed. Some time ago, the Philippines suffered a heavy loss at the hands of Daxia. He did not dare to go head-to-head with the Daxia Navy, so he could only vent his anger on these fishing boats. At this moment, a man in military uniform rushed to the deck and said nervously, "General Liu Shi, we found an unknown object on the sea approaching us quickly." The young general named Liu Shi's smile faltered and he frowned. "Unknown object? How far are we from?" The man in military uniform looked to the side of the deck and exclaimed in shock, "Look, it's already here." Liu Shi followed this person's gaze and felt his scalp numb instantly. Under the moonlight, a mighty man ran quickly on the sea and came riding the waves. Because the speed was too fast and the force was too strong, 2 rows of columns behind him shot up into the sky, with astonishing power. "Quick, quick, run, the strong men of Daxia are coming." Liu Shi's complexion changed drastically and he frantically ordered a retreat. However, it was too late. The man running wildly on the sea was very fast, and he was only 100 meters away from the police boat in a short time. He pushed hard, and the sea surface with a radius of 20 meters was pressed down by an invisible force, like a big bowl. And he himself rose into the sky, crossed a distance of 100 meters, and fell towards the police boat. Boom! There was a loud bang. The mighty man landed heavily on the deck. The entire police boat shook wildly. This person is none other than Tianwei, one of the 4 heavenly kings of the Temple of Punishment. Such power has already scared everyone in the Philippines to shit. Tianwei is over 2 meters tall, with muscles all over his body that contain unimaginable power. He took out a photo and strode to Liu Shi's side. At this time, Liu Shi was so frightened that his legs were weak and he was leaning on the railing and shivering. "No, don't kill me, my dad is the Philippine god of war. You probably don't want to provoke a war between Daxia and our Philippines." Liu Shi moved out his father to make Tianwei afraid. Unexpectedly, Tianwei curled up his lips and sneered, "Your father has been killed by me, haven't you received the news? I heard that you, a little BD, don't care about human affairs, so your grandpa Tianwei took a special detour to take your life." "Tianwei?" Liu Shi's face turned pale instantly, and he shouted in horror, "Tianwei! Are you Tianwei, one of the 4 heavenly kings of the Temple of Punishment?" Tianwei looked indifferent and said coldly, "Remember to run faster." Hearing this, Liu Shi was full of doubts. The next second, Liu Shi's neck was strangled by Tianwei. Vaguely, Liu Shi heard Tianwei's next words, "I can still reunite with your dad on the road to hell." Then, Tianwei rushed into the cabin and killed the others. When Tianwei came to the deck again, no one in the entire police boat was breathing except him. At this moment, a seabird fell from the sky and landed on Tianwei's shoulder. Tianwei took off a small piece of paper from seabird's leg, looked at it carefully, and his violent aura instantly erupted. "You son of Abch, if you dare to arrest my niece, you are seeking death." Tianwei was furious and left quickly. Only the unpopular police boats were left adrift on the sea. America. Gotham City, known as the Sin City, is currently hosting an event that is sensationalizing the entire United States Dark Showdown. A man wearing a ghost mask stood on top of a tall building. He is the belief of countless underground villains in the United States, the Dark Knight. On the rooftop opposite the Dark Knight, stood a strange man wearing cool armor, his whole body covered in armor. This person is the king of underground forces in the western United States, the Devil. A few months ago, the Dark Knight came out of the blue, constantly challenging the major underground forces in the United States and destroying many forces. Finally, the Demon King of the West came forward and asked the Dark Knight to face off today. If the Dark Knight wins, a large piece of territory will be allocated to the Dark Knight. Now the entire Gotham City has become a restricted area for the US police, and countless members of underground forces fill the streets and alleys. This battle was so intense that even the American military was alarmed and sent a large army to surround Gotham City to prevent underground forces from causing chaos, which would lead to the collapse of order in the entire West. When a dull bell rang, all members of the underground forces held their breath and stared at the two figures on the tall building. There are several thick iron chains connected between the two tall buildings. Hearing the bell, the Dark Knight and the Demon God moved at the same time, rushing towards each other quickly. The two stepped on the same iron chain and met in the middle of the iron chain. Boom boom boom. The two sides moved so quickly that they couldn't see clearly at all, and could only hear deafening bombardments. Violent air waves blew in all directions, causing other chains to sway. At this moment, a sharp whistle pierced the sky and reached the Dark Knight's ears. This is an emergency signal to kill the temple. The Dark Knight's expression changed, he immediately left the battle and prepared to leave. However, the Demon God roared and rushed towards the Dark Knight at high speed to prevent him from leaving. The Dark Knight was furious and no longer retained his strength. He turned around suddenly, forcibly tore open the alloy armor on the Demon God, and thrust his palm into the latter's heart, piercing his body. The Demon God looked at the Dark Knight in disbelief and hit the ground with his body. He never imagined until his death that the Dark Knight's real strength was so much stronger than him. The Dark Knight walked away without even looking at him. The Dark Knight is just an identity he created for a secret mission. His true identity is the sin of one of the four heavenly kings of the Temple of Punishment. Seeing the Demon God suddenly being killed instantly by the Dark Knight, countless strong men were stunned. I thought this would be a battle between dragons and tigers, but I didn't expect the battle to end so quickly. At the same time, after receiving the news, the 9 divine envoys of the Temple of Punishment distributed all over the world rushed to Daxia with a large number of powerful people from the Temple of Punishment. High-level officials from various countries received the news of the main gathering of the Temple of Punishment, and the crowd was shocked. Orders were issued quickly, and countless intelligence teams and top agents were dispatched urgently to go to Daxia. Everyone has a hunch, things are about to change in Great Summer. Chapter 9. Imperial Capital. War Headquarters. A series of piercing sirens sounded throughout the war headquarters. Special alert, a large number of strong men are rushing to Daxia. The Shadow Force failed to track. Please ask the headquarters to immediately strengthen border defense. It is recommended that the combat readiness level is special level. The piercing sirens constantly stimulated the nerves of the War Department bosses. Everyone put down what they were doing again and hurried to the war conference room. After all the personnel were basically present, Chen Chaozong, the commander of the War Department, walked in quickly with a solemn expression. Chen Chui, what happened? How could a special alarm be triggered? How serious the situation is that the Shadow Force actually suggested launching special combat readiness? Who are those people? What are they doing in Daxia? The bosses of the War Department, who were stomping their feet one after another and making the whole Great Xia tremble, were usually the ones whose expression remained unchanged even if the mountain collapsed, but now their faces were full of anxiety. Chen Chaozong came to the front of the conference room with a solemn expression. Something big happened in Zhongcheng. I just received news from the Azure Dragon God of War that the daughter of Ye Wuwei, the master of the Temple of Execution, has been arrested and her life or death is uncertain. Ye Wuwei was furious and ordered the God of Punishment to gather in Zhongcheng. The strong men rushing towards Daxia from all directions now are the masters of the Temple of Execution. This time, things are really going to change. Chen Chaozong's face became uglier as he spoke. He, who had always been calm and sophisticated, was actually panicking at this moment. Over the years, Zushan Temple has destroyed one underground force after another, taken over countless territories, and gained astronomical amounts of wealth. Perhaps even Ye Wuwei, the leader of the Temple of Punishment, does not know how terrifying the war potential of the Temple of Punishment is. Before, there had never been such a large-scale gathering in the Temple of Punishment. Because the four heavenly kings of the Temple of Punishment are existences that can stand alone. Chen Chaozong could not estimate the terrifying power that the Temple of Punishment would unleash. But what can be expected is that once the Temple of Punishment gathers in Daxia, once they take action, the situation will definitely be turned upside down. Everyone else was stunned when they heard Chen Qiuzong's words. The entire combat conference room was eerily silent. You can hear the needle drop. After a short silence, one of the War Department bosses looked ugly and roared, "Who dares to touch Ye Wuwei's daughter? I'm going to slap him back into his mother's womb. It is simply lawless to kidnap people's children in Daxia. With such a large-scale gathering in the Temple of Punishment, we must not let them in, otherwise Daxia will really be in chaos. We must let the Qingyan god of war find Ye Wuwei's daughter as soon as possible, and there must be no accidents." The roars of the War Department bosses resounded throughout the war conference room. Chen Qiuzong nodded with an ugly expression and said quickly, "I have given Qingyan god of war the greatest authority. He has made comprehensive arrangements. Now the entire Zhongcheng has been completely banned. Immediately raise the level of border combat readiness to prevent the strong men from the Temple of Punishment from breaking into Daxia. Until Ye Wuwei finds his daughter, the Temple of Punishment will definitely not stop gathering. The top priority is to find the little girl. Everyone, use all channels to find her in the shortest possible time." When saying these words, Chen Qiuzong's tone became more and more serious. When he said the last sentence, he almost shouted. Zushan Temple has always been on good terms with Daxia and is an invisible barrier outside Daxia's territory. Many forces want to take action against Daxia, but they have to be careful. Now that Zushan Temple and Daxia are on opposite sides, other forces will surely rejoice in their misfortune. There will even be forces fishing in troubled waters and taking the opportunity to harm Daxia's interests. Especially in border disputed areas, someone will definitely cause trouble. By then, what the Great Xia War Department has to deal with is no longer a slaying temple. Instead, there are hungry wolves surrounding Daxia. Once a chain reaction occurs, conflicts at the national level may even break out. The consequences will be unimaginable. The other War Department bosses all realized the seriousness of the problem and did not dare to neglect it, so they quickly made arrangements. For a time, the entire Daxia decision-makers were panicked. After calming down for a moment, Chen Qiuzong shouted, "Submit an application to the Council of Elders to view all Ye Wuwei's information. Analyze his close people and enemies based on his information and find the little girl as soon as possible." The Council of Elders is the highest authority in Daxia. 5 people in total. 4 of them are called adjudicators. The other one is the Lord of Daxia. Dragon Lord. Soon, the reply from the Council of Elders came, with only 4 words, "Application rejected." Seeing that his application was rejected, Chen Qiuzong's expression changed wildly. What is the origin of Ye Wuwei? At this time, the elders would even hide his identity. Who is he? Commander, there is an emergency in the western region. A group of temple-killing warriors have forced their way through the border and have broken through the first layer of defense. They are too strong and elusive, and the border is too long. By the time support arrives, they have already disappeared. Just when Chen Qiuzong was shocked by Ye Wuwei's identity, an anxious report sounded. Chen Qiuzong's body trembled. What? Already rushed in? The general who reported the news had a bitter look on his face and nodded helplessly. They have dozens or hundreds of masters charging at one point, and our people can't stop them at all. Fortunately, their people still have sense. They didn't kill anyone. At most, they just knocked them unconscious. The members of the Killing Temple, except for some powerful people from outside the territory. Most of them are veterans of many battles who have retired from the Great Xia Frontier Army. Facing his former comrades, he naturally did not kill him. Commander, there is an emergency in the north. A group of god-killing gods broke through the border and have entered Daxia. Commander, there is an emergency in the south. Commander, traces of the Empire's Special Operations Team have been found in the western region. Commander, the Eastern Territory is in urgent need, and Japan is eager to try. Urgent reports came one after another, flying like snowflakes. Chen Qiuzong clenched his fists and his face was ashen. The weather in Great Summer is really going to change. Imperial Capital. The center of power in the entire Daxia, Tiangong. In a room decorated in an antique style. The 5 top beings in Great Xia remained silent. They also knew all the news received from the War Department. After a long silence, one of them slowly spoke, "I'm afraid this turmoil will not be settled. After the great changes 6 years ago, Ye Wuwei's strength has grown by leaps and bounds. In the entire Daxia, it is difficult to find anyone who can completely suppress him." Another person solemnly said, in this case, the only way is to report the situation to the guardian truthfully. Contact Kunlun immediately and ask the guardian to come out. As soon as these words came out, others nodded and had no objection. Kunlun. On top of the mountain. The strong wind is hunting, the cold wind is like a knife. An old man wearing a long coat with white hair and beard is playing chess. A man in military uniform next to him looked respectful and bent slightly. The old man looked calm and said calmly, "Tell them to let nature take its course." Yes. The man in military uniform nodded heavily, turned around and disappeared into the strong wind. Then, the old man picked up one of the chess pieces and murmured to himself, "Cultivation of one's character, order of family, governance of country, peace of the world. 6 years ago, I was angry, for myself, and the fish and dragon changed. Now I'm angry, for my family." After that, the chess pieces slowly fell. Clatter. The chess piece fell on the chessboard and remained motionless. An invisible force protected the old man, and the fierce wind could not move a small chess piece. The situation on the chessboard is clearly a battle between two dragons. Then, the old man looked in the direction of Zhongcheng, then moved his eyes, looking at the great rivers and mountains of Daxia, and murmured, "In this great summer, we need people to scrape the bones and cure the poison." Chapter 10. Tonight. The top dignitaries around the world are curious about what the Temple of Punishment is going to do when they gather on a large scale. After they enter Daxia, where will they gather? Now. The center of the storm, Zhongcheng. According to clues from the intelligence department of the Temple of God, Ye Wuwei tracked him to the north of Zhongcheng. "Boss, this is the area where the man in black robe last disappeared." Ye Wuwei and Ye Lu stood on the roof of a tall building, looking around the entire northern area of the city. On the streets below, tanks from the Zhongcheng garrison were stationed at various intersections. Teams of action team members shuttled through the streets and alleys, looking for clues. Swish! A sound broke through the air. Qingyan god of war Hebo Ping flew over. "Master Yat, I have received news that the man in black robe last disappeared in this area. The Zhongcheng garrison and the Qingyan guards under my command have rushed here with all their strength. I believe you will be able to find your daughter soon. There is no need to assemble many strong men in the Temple of Punishment. Hai Bopping is under a lot of pressure now. He has received news that the gathering in the Temple of Punishment has triggered a chain reaction. Many temple-killing powerhouses have broken into Daxia, and there are also many forces with evil intentions trying to fish in troubled waters. The security pressure on the border of Daxia is very high." Ye Wuwei didn't answer, looking down at the street in the distance. Sure enough, chariots were roaring towards the city at high speed. At this moment, there was another sound breaking through the air. A master of Qingyan guard came behind Hai Bopping and said respectfully, "God of war, we just received the intelligence. Tonight, a mysterious man sneaked into the Wang family in Zhongcheng. The lurking personnel found no trace of the mysterious man inside the Wang family. He may have been hidden, or he may have left with the help of the Wang family's cover. That mysterious man may be the one who took away Hall Master Yi's daughter. The Wang family in Zhongcheng is a big family and has great influence in Zhongcheng. It's not unusual for intelligence officers to lurk in." Boom! An evil aura surged out from Ye Wuwei's body. He turned back suddenly, stared into the eyes of the Qingyan guard master, and said coldly, "Wang family. Where?" The terrifying power made the Qingyan guard master stiffen. Only by facing Ye Wuwei directly can we realize how terrifying this legendary master of the Temple of Execution is. The master of Qingyan guard suppressed the nervousness in his heart and pointed to a dark area in front, that is where the Wang family in Zhongcheng gathers. It is said to be a dark area only compared to other brightly lit areas. There were still bits and pieces of light in that area. In this neon bright steel forest, with such a large area and exclusive tranquility, the Wang family's energy in Zhongcheng is indeed considerable. Walk! Ye Wuwei gave a deep shout and jumped down from the tall building. Ye Lu followed closely. Hai Bopping looked at the Qingyan guard master and said solemnly, "Use my authority to retrieve all the Wang family's information immediately. Assemble all the Qingyan guards to surround the Wang family. They are only allowed in but not allowed out." After saying that, Hai Bopping chased after Ye Wuwei's back. His most important task is to follow Ye Wuwei and control the situation as much as possible to prevent things from getting too bad. Wang family. In a secret room. Wang Defa, the head of the Wang family, frowned. On the seats next to them, a group of core members of the Wang family were also looking gloomy. Wang Defa's younger brother Wang Debiao said worriedly, "Brother, who exactly came to Zhongcheng? It actually put the entire city under martial law, and even the internet was restricted, making it impossible to contact the outside world. Moreover, the entire Zhongcheng garrison and security bureau were dispatched, filling the streets. Could it be related to Butler Lu?" Hearing this, Wang Defa's eyes widened and he shouted angrily, "What is Butler Lu? What are you talking about?" Wang Debiao shrank his neck. "Didn't you send Butler Lu away quietly before?" Soon, he came back to his senses. This is to deny that Butler Lu has been to the Wang family. Wang Debiao nodded quickly, yes, I am confused." At this moment, there was a knock on the door of the secret room. A nervous report sounded outside the door, "Master, 2 men with fierce faces are here. I want you to go to the lobby to meet them in person." Wang Defa raised his eyebrows, "Who shows off such a big show? No reservation in advance, just rushed out." The person outside the door trembled, "Master, you'd better go in person. They have defeated 5 family warriors, and they don't know whether they are alive or dead. Those 2 men were too cruel. No one dares to stop them now." As soon as these words came out, the faces of all the senior members of the Wang family in the secret room darkened. "Presumptuous! Do you dare to hurt someone in the Wang family and seek death?" Bang! Wang Defa slapped his palm on the armrest, stood up suddenly, and said angrily, "I want to see who they are." In this 3/3 of an acre of land in Zhongcheng, there were very few people the Wang family could not afford to offend. Injuring someone from the Wang family within the Wang family, isn't it equivalent to slapping the Wang family in the face? The people in Zhongcheng who dare to do this are not even born yet. Wang Defa and a group of senior Wang family members angrily left the secret room and quickly came to the lobby. In the lobby, 3 imposing men stood. 2 of them had cold faces, and the other frowned slightly. These 3 people are naturally Ye Wuwei, Ye Lu and Hai Boping. Outside the lobby, a group of Wang family warriors gathered after hearing the news. "Master! Master!" Wherever Wang Defa passed, all the warriors of the Wang family bowed their heads respectfully, and their cards were filled. "Enter the lobby." Wang Defa narrowed his eyes slightly. "Aren't they 2 people? Why did it become 3? I'm afraid it's inappropriate for you to hurt members of my Wang family as soon as you come here. If you don't give me an explanation today, you may not be able to leave my Wang family." Wang Defa was furious and wanted to vent his anger. "Get out of the way! Get out of the way!" At this time, an angry voice sounded outside the lobby. A man with a red face and a big belly pushed aside the Wang family warrior outside the lobby and walked in quickly. Seeing this person, Wang Defa's eyes lit up and he walked towards him. "Chief Wang, why are you here?" This pot-bellied man is none other than the capital of Zhongcheng City. Wang Hai. Wang Defa was overjoyed to see Wang Hai appear here. Finally a chance to find out what happened tonight. Officials told ordinary people that this was a special military exercise, but Wang Defa didn't believe it at all. How could a military exercise be under martial law throughout the city, and even the internet be restricted? Facing Wang Defa who greeted him enthusiastically, Wang Hai directly pushed him away. Then, he quickly walked to Hai Boping, nodded and bowed, "I am busy with chores, and the Qingyan god of war is here. Please forgive me for missing the welcome." As soon as these words were spoken, the entire lobby fell silent. Azure Dragon God of War? That was actually the leader of the 4 war gods of Daxia, the extremely mysterious Qingyan war god. For a moment, Wang Defa and others were stunned as if struck by lightning. Chapter 11. There are actually more than 4 gods of war in Daxia. But when it comes to the god of war, the first thing that all the people of Daxia think of must be the 4 national protecting war gods codenamed after the 4 ancient mythical beasts of Daxia: Zhendong Army Qingyan God of War, Zhengzi Army White Tiger God of War, Zhenyi's Army Suzaku God of War, Zhenbei Army Suanwu God of War. The 4 war gods commanded the 4 most powerful frontier armies in Daxia and guarded the borders. They were unparalleled heroes in the minds of countless people. The Qingyan God of War is also the famous leader of the 4 gods of war. This is a towering figure. Looking at the entire Daxia, he has a very high say. It is the existence of standing on the clouds and overlooking the common people. At this moment, he actually appeared in Zhongcheng and the Wang family. No wonder Zhongcheng was under total martial law and the famous Green Dragon God of War came in person. In an instant, everyone in the Wang family lost their minds. My mind was in a blur, and I couldn't get back to my senses for a long time. Wang Defa, worthy of being the head of the family, was the first to come to his senses. With an excited expression on his face, he bowed respectfully towards Hai Bopping and shouted, "Greetings to the Azure Dragon God of War." This voice brought the rest of the Wang family back to their senses. At the same time, they bowed respectfully and shouted excitedly, "Greetings to the Azure Dragon God of War." Hai Bopping, the Azure Dragon God of War, has seen this kind of scene many times. Hai Bopping's face was calm and he said, "Neither salty nor cool, you're welcome, I won't be polite to you later." As soon as these words came out, everyone in the Wang family trembled, and a cool air flowed from the Tianling cap to the soles of their feet. What's the meaning? Qingyang God of War came to the Wang family in person to take action against the Wang family? Everyone in the Wang family was instantly confused and frightened, looking at Wang Defa with pale faces. As the head of the family, Wang Defa could only bite the bullet and stand up at this moment. He wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said in horror, "Qingyang God of War, please forgive me. I was the one who said something rude. I pray to God of War that he will be given a lighter sentence." As he said this, Wang Defa's heart trembled, his knees softened, and he knelt down directly on the ground. Seeing this scene, everyone in the Wang family clenched their fists and their eyes turned red. Several senior executives of the Wang family who were familiar with Wang Hai, the leader of Zhongcheng City, looked at Wang Hai for help. As the leader of Zhongcheng City, Wang Hai could still say a few words in front of the Qingyang God of War. However, Wang Hai ignored these calls for help. I saw his eyes widening, pointing at Wang Defa, and angrily said, "Wang Defa, you are so brave, you dare to speak rudely to the Qingyang God of War. I must call you, call you." Halfway through, Wang Hai lost his temper. After all, he was not qualified to convict Wang Defa. He just wanted to show off his power. "You're asking him to drink 3 drinks as a penalty, right?" At this time, a mocking voice appeared in the lobby. Wang Hai followed the sound and saw a tall young man with a cold face staring at him coldly. This person must be extraordinary if he can stand with the Azure Dragon God of War. Wang Hai was very aware of current affairs. He smiled and did not dare to answer. The person who spoke was naturally Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei looked at Wang Defa with indifferent eyes and said in a cold voice, "Tonight, a mysterious person entered the Wang family, and he brought a little girl with him. Where is the child?" Hearing this, the hearts of several senior members of the Wang family trembled, and a strong uneasiness instantly surrounded them. It's over. The Qingyang God of War came with this person, and his status must be high. If it were known that the Wang family had sent people away, the Wang family would be in grave danger. You can only deny it and sever the relationship. Wang Defa looked confused and said cautiously, "Sir, there is no mysterious person entering the Wang family tonight. Please check carefully." "Okay." Ye Wuwei nodded. Hearing this, Wang Defa breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't expect this person to be so easy to talk to. The next second, Wang Defa's breathing stagnated and his pupils shrank sharply. Ye Wuwei waved his hand. Ye Lu rushed towards the 2 Wang family warriors like an arrow from a string. He stretched out his hands and grabbed the necks of the 2 Wang family warriors. Crack! Crack! 2 crisp sounds. The 2 Wang family warriors didn't even have time to scream and died immediately. In front of the Qingyang God of War, he killed people unscrupulously. How dare they? How dare you? In an instant, everyone in the Wang family was filled with souls and were completely frightened. They looked at Ye Wuwei and Ye Lu in horror, as if they were seeing a peerless demon who slaughtered hundreds of millions of creatures. Unprecedented fear appeared in the hearts of everyone, and the shadow of death enveloped them. Hai Bopping frowned slightly, feeling displeased, and said in a deep voice, "Let's get over it." Ye Wuwei's voice was cold, "Have you passed? Not even close. Ye Lu, what's the use of killing 2 dogs?" Hearing this, Ye Lu moved his feet and rushed to several senior members of the Wang family. Without hesitation, he directly broke the necks of 2 senior members of the Wang family. Second uncle. Third brother. Seeing this scene, Wang Defa's eyes turned red and he was almost crazy. He suddenly looked at the Qingyang God of War and kowtowed frantically, "Lord God of War, help me, save my Wang family. I really don't know about the little girl. There has never been any mysterious person in my Wang family." With the speed shown by Ye Lu, Wang Defa knew that no one in the Wang family could beat him. The only hope is the Qingyan war god, the leader of the 4 war gods in Daxia. Seeing this, Ye Wuwei snorted, keep killing. Kill him until he speaks. The Wang family must be related to that mysterious man. Previously, Wang Qiahua, the top master in Zhongcheng, appeared in the Black Dragon Gang and took action for the leader of the Black Dragon Gang, Wang Baxian. Wang Qiahua and Wang Baxian are both members of the Wang family. The Wang family has nothing to do with this matter. Crack! Crack! 2 more senior members of the Wang family were crushed to death. Wang Defa's body was trembling, and his heart was filled with boundless despair. Enough! Seeing Ye Lu killing people without restraint, Hai Boping couldn't help it. Killing people so recklessly without conclusive evidence is too much. Ye Wuwei said coldly, continue. Hearing this, Ye Lu moved his feet and came to 2 senior members of the Wang family. Suddenly, his body stiffened and he felt a terrifying energy locking him. Ye Lu looked back and saw Hai Bo rushing over with a cold face. However, Ye Lu was not worried about his own safety at all. The next second, a figure stood between Ye Lu and Hai Boping. This person is naturally Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei stood on the spot and struck out with a palm. Hai Boping narrowed his eyes and also slapped a palm. Boom! There was a muffled sound, and everyone present instantly had tinnitus. A violent wave of air surged in all directions. Ye Wuwei still stood where he was. Hai Boping took 3 steps back, each step leaving a deep footprint in the lobby. Seeing this scene, everyone in the Wang family felt numb instantly. Who is this person? Even Daxia's #1 god of war is no match for him. What kind of existence did the Wang family provoke? Wang Debiao's psychological defense collapsed and he cried, brother, don't hide it. Do you really want us to die? At this moment, Ye Lu was already standing in front of him. He will be the next to die. As soon as these words came out, Wang Defa closed his eyes and lamented, shed tears of regret and fear, and said in a trembling voice, I said, I will explain everything. Someone came to Wang's house tonight. He is Butler Lu of the Zhao family in Longcheng, and he does have a little girl with him. Say it, Wang Defa collapsed on the ground as if he had been cramped, and couldn't stop crying. He knew that the Wang family, which had been built up by generations of hard work, was over. Even if the devil in front of them doesn't deal with the Wang family, the Zhao family of Longcheng will not let go of the Wang family. Wang Defa originally wanted to push through, but the Zhao family would definitely not treat the Wang family badly afterwards. The Wang family has experienced this kind of thing before. In the process of development, a family must experience some risks and make some bets. But this time the risk was too great, and the Wang family lost the bet. The agency's calculation was too clever, and it cost Qingqing her life. Chapter 12. Boom! A violent murderous aura suddenly erupted. Ye Wuwei's lips trembled, finally finding a clue. Everyone present was trembling. The faces of everyone in the Wang family were pale, and they fell to the ground in fear, with their feces and urine flowing out. This violent murderous intent was too strong and they couldn't bear it. Wang Hai, the leader of Zhongcheng city, also had weak legs and feet, and he leaned on a chair next to him to keep himself from falling. Ye Wuwei's figure flashed and appeared in front of Wang Defa. His eyes flashed fiercely, and he asked condescendingly, where are the people? Feeling the violent killing intent on Ye Wuwei at close range, Wang Defa trembled and said in a trembling voice, already left Zhongcheng and went to Dragon City. What? Hai Boping's face turned dark, I have sealed Zhongcheng for a long time, how did he leave? Hai Boping was so angry that he gritted his teeth and clenched his fists, wishing to punch these idiots to death. Longcheng is the capital of Zhongzhou, with a population of tens of millions. If the Zhu temple were to gather there, the damage would be inestimable. Faced with Hai Boping's questioning, Wang Defa did not dare to hide anything and said tremblingly, at that time, Butler Lu asked me to contact a plane to take him out of Zhongcheng. I didn't dare to refuse, so I agreed. I know people from some important departments in Zhongcheng and asked them to clear things up. Hearing these words, Hai Boping's face turned extremely ugly. Under his strict orders, there are still people who dare to disobey orders. Good, good. Heibo smiled calmly, okay, well done. Local forces are local snakes, right? Realizing that Hai Boping was about to go berserk, Wang Defa's last hope was shattered. He kowtowed frantically and roared, God of War, spare your life, I don't dare any more, I don't dare any more. I didn't know that little girl was so important. Steward Lu is from the Zhao family. I dare not disobey him. Please spare my life. Hai Boping shouted, I will repent properly in my next life. After that, he stepped on Wang Defa's chest. Puff! Wang Defa's body shook and he spurted out a large mouthful of blood. The look in his eyes gradually disappeared. He never imagined that a small help would bring disaster to the Wang family. I used to do this often. There are many things that are more excessive than this. Why did it happen this time? On the verge of death, Wang Defa desperately turned his gaze to Ye Wuwei. He knew that the matter this time was not serious, but he had offended someone who must not be offended. He wanted to imprint this face deeply in his mind. If there is an afterlife, stay away from this devil. Swish swish. Sounds of breaking through the air sounded from all directions. One by one, Qin Glongwei masters wearing special combat uniforms came to the surrounding courtyard walls. They heard the movement inside and hurried over to check. Hai Boping pointed to an armed helicopter cruising in the night sky and said in a deep voice, let that helicopter come over. According to wartime standards, we will strictly investigate the Wang family. We will arrest those who deserve to be arrested and kill those who deserve to be killed. I will execute them immediately. The entire Zhongcheng is under strict investigation from top to bottom. Anyone related to this kidnapping incident will be killed by me. I don't believe it. I can't just kill these evil spirits. Finally, check the nearest flight and identify the suspect. That person has already left Zhongcheng by plane with Master Yi's daughter. Yes. A team leader agreed and immediately made arrangements. Hai Boping was indeed very angry at these idiots for doing bad things. He has long heard that now that the peace has been prolonged, some stinky habits are gradually growing in various places. But he never expected that under his strict orders, there would be people who failed to implement them properly. These damn things should be killed as a warning. At the same time, it was also made for Ye Wuwei to see. Let Ye Wuwei know that it's just some idiots below who are causing trouble, and he will clean up the house himself so that he won't anger everyone. Hai Boping looked at Ye Wuwei and said solemnly, Master Ye, now the clues are clear, I believe your daughter will be found soon. I have sent a helicopter over. If the person is found to be taken to Dragon City, we will fly to Dragon City immediately. Ye Wuwei did not answer. Soon, the previous team leader came to Hai Boping and said respectfully, Lord God of War, the last flight left shortly after our blockade. The destination is Dragon City. Ye Wuwei turned his head and looked at Ye Lu, tell the intelligence department to focus the investigation on Dragon City. Inform the entire army to assemble at Dragon City. He now doesn't believe in the power of Daxia and has to rely on his own power. Hearing this, Heibo's face turned bitter, after all, it was involved in Dragon City. The next second, Hai Boping came back to his senses and said in surprise, Jiangqing's network has been blocked, can you still contact the outside world? Ye Lu gave a cold smile while sending the message. How could the communication network that Zushan Temple spent so much money to establish be blocked so easily? Soon, the armed helicopter arrived at Wang's house. Ye Wuwei and others boarded the plane and flew directly to Dragon City. Dragon City, the capital of Zhongzhou. A huge city with a population of over 10 million. The population here is densely populated, the industry is developed, and the commerce is prosperous. In the central area of Longcheng, where land is at a premium, there is a vast luxurious garden. Here is the Zhao family that countless people yearn for. Even if you work as a cleaner in the Zhao family, you will have a higher status and better treatment than the business elites outside. Working for the Zhao family is a dream that countless people dream of. The Zhao family in Longcheng. Not to mention Zhongzhou, even several areas near Zhongzhou have extremely high influence. Privately, some people call Zhao Wuji, the head of the Zhao family, the king of Zhongzhou. At this time, the Zhao family was brightly lit. In a small two-story attic, Butler Lu knelt in front of a young man, his face pale. Li Nianwei was lying in a box, shivering. In order to prevent others from being discovered, Butler Lu kept her in a box. Young Master Zhao, I didn't know things would be so big. I only found out after I got off the plane. Young Master Zhao, for the sake of my loyalty to you, please save me. When he was in Zhongcheng, Wang Baxian, the underground emperor of Zhongcheng, was respectful to Butler Lu. Butler Lu behaved calmly and completely ignored Wang Baxian, the underground emperor. At this moment, he knew that he had caused a huge disaster and would no longer be as calm as before. The young master standing in front of Butler Lu is Zhao Fenjian, the youngest son of the current head of the Zhao family. The emperor loves the eldest son, and the people love the youngest son. Zhao Wuji had a son when he was old, and he doted on Zhao Fenjian very much. Privately, some people call him the young prince. Zhao Fenjian looked at Butler Lu, who was kowtowing crazily, and said angrily, "Idiot, why did you bring her back to the family? She is a hot potato now, how do you want me to deal with her?" Butler Lu was in tears and did not dare to speak, but kowtowed frantically. Seeing this, Zhao Fenjian gritted his teeth, "Uncle Lu, you have been with me for so long, you know my character. I'll try my best to protect you this time. If I can't save it, there's nothing I can do." Butler Lu was overjoyed and thanked him frantically. "Protect him? You can't even protect yourself. You're a troublemaking little beast, don't bring trouble to our Zhao family." At this time, a roar sounded outside the small building. An old man with white hair and bright eyes rushed in. Without saying anything, he killed Butler Lu with one strike. The old man angrily said, "Only when he dies can we barely give an explanation." Hearing this, Zhao Fenjian nodded silently. This old man is the head of the Zhao family, Zhao Wuji. Nickname, King of Zhongzhou. Chapter 13. Who are you calling a little beast? He is a beast, who am I? Who are you? A sharp female voice sounded. A beautiful woman who was dressed in jewels and still had charm hurried in with a group of people. Seeing Butler Lu slumped on the ground, the beautiful woman only glanced at him and then looked away. This person is none other than the current mistress of the Zhao family. Feng Yi. Feng Ji was not the first wife, but Zhao Wuji's second wife when he was 50 years old. Zhao Wuji had 4 sons in total, and his first wife gave birth to 3. All of them were among the best and held high positions. Zhao Fenjian, the youngest son, was born to Feng Ji and was much loved. Seeing that Feng Ji was still protecting the calf at this time, Zhao Wuji became furious and roared, "Do you know how much trouble he has caused? Now the whole Zhongzhou people are in panic, and Zhongcheng is under full martial law, all because of him." Zhao Wuji has received news about his eldest son Zhao Bolan. Daxia's top management attaches great importance to this matter and wants to investigate the masterminds behind the scenes. If this matter is not handled well, it may be difficult for the prosperous Zhao family to turn around. Feng Ji pursed her lips, "What are you yelling at me for? Aren't you the king of Zhongzhou? Is there anything you can't control in Zhongzhou? You?" Zhao Wuji was choked, and for a moment he didn't know what to say. Normally, Zhao Wuji would feel quite proud when hearing the words King of Zhongzhou. At this moment, it has become a shackles. "Master, something bad is going on." At this time, an anxious voice came in from outside. The chief butler of the Zhao family ran over quickly and panted, "Master, the Zhongzhou War Department has surrounded us. There are armored vehicles and tanks outside. The elites of the Zhongzhou War Department have set up a cordon outside. They are only allowed in but not allowed out. There are several helicopters patrolling in the sky, as if they are trying to break in." "What?" Zhao Wuji's expression changed drastically. He suddenly turned his head to look at Feng Yi and roared, "Why don't you hide this little beast quickly? He's dead if he's caught." This time, Feng Ji also realized the seriousness of the problem. Because logically speaking, the Zhongzhou War Department would not dare to surround the Zhao family. Zhao Wuji's eldest son Zhao Bolan is young and promising. He was named the God of War a year ago and has an army of 50,000 under his command. Although he is a new God of War and cannot compare to the 4 famous gods of war, he is still a God of War. Moreover, it was sealed by the 4th arbiter of the Council of Elders himself. After the Zhao family gave birth to a God of War, the status of the Zhao family increased. Zhao Wuqi's popularity was unprecedented. The second son, Zhao Filong, is the richest man in Zhongzhou. Its Filong Chamber of Commerce is a giant in Zhongzhou and has great appeal in Zhongzhou. Both black and white have to give face. The third son, Zhao Yinhu, is the third most powerful figure in Dragon City and is in charge of the security and defense of Dragon City. The Zhao family has such great power in Zhongzhou, and the Zhongzhou War Department is usually polite to the Zhao family. Now the Zhongzhou War Department not only surrounded the Zhao family, but also mobilized armored vehicles and tanks. This order was definitely not issued by the Zhongzhou War Department. There was obviously a higher level instruction. Feng Ji's face turned pale, her tone softened, and she said in horror, Wuji, we must keep Fenjiun. This is my only son. If something happens to him, I won't be able to survive. Zhao Wuji looked cold and said angrily, stop talking and hide him quickly. I had a premonition that something was wrong, so I asked the boss to come back as quickly as possible. He is the god of war, he should be able to calm the situation. Fenji nodded and quickly dragged Zhao Fenjiun out of the attic. The head butler of the Zhao family looked at Zhao Fenjiun's retreating back and said solemnly, Master, the young master has offended so many people this time, I'm afraid it will be difficult to be kind to him. Do you want to make more preparations? Zhao Wuji frowned and said solemnly, although I have never been exposed to the Temple of Punishment, I have heard about it a little bit. Those people are all desperate desperados and they are ruthless. Call the second and third sons back and bring in more people. Hearing this, the chief steward hesitated for a moment and whispered, I heard that the troops from the Temple of Punishment are gathering to prepare to force their way into Daxia. If they really come to Dragon City, the manpower we have prepared may not be able to resist them. Zhao Wuji narrowed his eyes and said coldly, do you think the four frontier armies are all just doing nothing? Even if they cross the border, the internal regional war departments will encircle and suppress them. Thinking of coming to Dragon City is just a dream. There are probably only 2 or 3 strong people who can break through the siege and reach Dragon City. I remember that the ancient Grandmaster was in Dragon City recently. He is a first-grade Grandmaster. I immediately invited him to take charge. As long as Grandmaster Gu can hold on until the boss comes back, our Zhao family will be safe and sound. Yes. The butler nodded and immediately turned around to make arrangements. After the chief steward left, Zhao Wuji always felt uneasy, so he asked people to contact some martial arts experts who had received favors from the Zhao family to support the Zhao family as quickly as possible. Outside the Zhao family, next to a chariot, Hu Dianchen, the commander-in-chief of the Zhangzhou War Department, held a diagram of the internal structure of the Zhao family and said solemnly, the ground and air forces are almost the same. But the underground hasn't thought about it yet. Deploy personnel immediately to strictly guard the sewers around Zhao's house. I'll use all the instruments. If I find a secret passage, I'll blow it up. If you find someone escaping, shoot me directly. Yes. A man in military uniform shouted and left after taking the order. Next to him, Jiangzhou's number 1 figure, Zhangzhou Governor Lu Pianan, frowned slightly and said softly, Old Hu, if you do this so seriously, I'm afraid it will be difficult to get along with the Zhao family in the future. The Zhao family has so much influence in Zhangzhou that every time the governor takes office, he basically has to go to the Zhao family to have tea. As long as the Zhao family doesn't make small moves, many instructions can be implemented very smoothly. Even if the Zhao family sometimes did something excessive, for the sake of long-term considerations, Lu Pianan always turned a blind eye. Hu Dianchen glanced at Lu Pianan and said in a deep voice, Old Lu, do you know who gave this order? This is an order personally issued by the Supreme Commander of the War Department headquarters. I heard from the gossip that Chen Shui was so angry that he smashed the table when he knew that the Zhao family's housekeeper could take the little girl back to the Zhao family smoothly by virtue of his status as the Zhao family's housekeeper. It's up to you whether the Zhao family can stay after tonight or not. There's no point in the future. Hearing this, Lu Piangzhen's head trembled. It turned out to be an order from the Supreme Commander of the War Department. Even beings like this are paying close attention to this matter. At the same time, his face was also a little ugly. A Zhao family housekeeper can travel unimpeded in Dragon City, and the Zhao family's power has reached the edge of being uncontrollable. After a long silence, Lu Pianan said quietly, the influence of the Zhao family is indeed too great, and it should be dealt with. But it may not be that simple to prevent the Zhao family from surviving tonight. Zhao Bolin is already the god of war in Great Xia, and he will definitely not sit back and watch the family's destruction. Hu Dianchen said meaningfully, the god of war is indeed extraordinary. But Zhao Bolin is just a new god of war. You haven't received the news, so you don't know how terrifying the Zhao family is. I heard that the Qinglong god of war personally dispatched but failed to control the situation. Hu Dianchen got goosebumps all over when he thought that the Zhao family was provoking that terrifying existence. This Zhao family is really looking for death. As a war general in the War Department, Hu Dianchen had heard of many deeds of killing the temple. Every piece of information, if brought to light, would definitely be earth-shattering news. What? Lu Pianan opened his mouth wide and his eyes widened with disbelief. The Qingyan god of war is the leader of the 4 war gods of Daxia. Basically he can be called the number 1 god of war in Daxia. He even went out in person. What's even more terrifying is that he personally failed to control the situation. Lu Pianon was completely confused. What kind of existence is that? Seeing that Hu Dianchen was unwilling to reveal too much, Lu Pianon didn't hesitate to ask more questions. After all, the news Hu Dianchen just said is quite a friend. Commander-in-Chief, there is a group of warriors who want to enter the Zhao family. I said I came here as a guest at the invitation of the Zhao family. At this time, a man in military uniform came running quickly. Hu Dianchen smiled coldly, a guest. Okay, let them in. I want to see how many people the Zhao family can invite to help. The War Department's instructions said, no entry, no exit. Now that the Zhao family has invited reinforcements, let's see how many people the Zhao family can mobilize. After a while, a bespectacled man wearing an administrative jacket ran over and reported to Lu Piananhui, I just received news that Zhao Yinhu mobilized the Dragon City Defense Force. In addition, Zhao Filong said he would entertain guests at the Zhao family and invited many business leaders to visit the Zhao family. Lu Pianon narrowed his eyes, UBD, you are really lawless. Then let Zhao Yinhu mobilize the defense forces. I want to see if he can command them. Send a message to those business people. Anyone who dares to come to Zhao's house will get out of Zhangzhou tomorrow. Lu Pianon could naturally see that Zhao Filong wanted to muddy the waters. But with him here, Zhao Filong would not be able to succeed. As the governor of Zhangzhou and the number 1 person in Zhangzhou, he still has the final say in Zhangzhou. As more and more warriors entered the Zhao family, Hu Dianchen and Lu Pianon's faces became increasingly ugly. Is the Zhao family demonstrating? At this time, a man in uniform said in a deep voice, Commander-in-Chief, I just received news that the Qingyan god of war has entered the airspace of Dragon City and will be there soon. Hu Dianchen looked solemn and shouted, pass the order, cheer me up. Not even a fly is allowed to go. Qingyan god of war Hai Bopping came in person, but Hu Dianchen didn't dare to let go. Hearing that something was going on in Zhongcheng, the Qingyan god of war became furious. Wang Hai, the leader of Zhongcheng city, received countless slaps. Zhongcheng garrison and some senior officials of Zhongcheng were directly arrested. Yes. Voices of agreement rang out one after another. Everyone in the Zhangzhou War Department was nervous and did not dare to relax at all. Boom. Night sky. A series of dull roars came. A formation of armed helicopters flew over quickly and hovered over Hu Dianchen and others. Then, under the gazes of the surrounding people, 3 figures fell from the sky. Boom boom boom. The 3 of them landed firmly on the ground. The leader is naturally Ye Wuwei. On his left and right sides were Ye Lu and Qingyan god of war Hai Bopping. Seeing that the Qingyan god of war couldn't even stand in position C, Hu Dianchen and Lu Pianon's heads trembled and they looked at Ye Wuwei in shock. Meet the Azure Dragon god of war. Putting aside their shock, Hu Dianchen and Lu Pianon stepped forward quickly. Hai Bopping nodded, looked at Zhao Garden with frowning eyebrows, and said in a deep voice, no one can run out. Hu Dianchen said solemnly, don't worry god of war, no one will escape. If someone sneaks out, you can kill me directly. Hearing this, Hai Bopping let out a breath of turbid air. That's good. On the way to Longcheng, they found out that the mysterious man had returned to the Zhao family. Considering that the Zhao family had a god of war, Hai Bopping reported the situation to Chen Chaozong, the commander-in-chief of the Great Xia War Department. After that, the Zhangzhou War Department besieged the Zhao family. Boom boom boom. One by one, the elites of the Qingyan Guard jumped off the armed helicopters and stood behind Hai Bopping, their momentum like a rainbow. These people are all the best of the best selected from the Zhendong army. Hu Dianchen looked at these Qingyan Guards with envy, and secretly sighed how great it would be if he had such a team under his command. Just then. Boom. There were roars in the night sky again. Hai Bopping looked up and saw another helicopter formation coming quickly. He frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, Hu Dianchen, did you arrange this flight formation? How do you fly in an attack formation over Dragon City? Hu Dianchen looked confused and shook his head, no. Hearing this, Heibo's expression darkened, and he suddenly turned his head to look at Ye Wuwei. He realized that the people who killed the temple might have arrived. Facts have proved that Hai Bopping's guess was accurate. Soon, a helicopter formation came over the crowd. One after another strong men with bloody auras descended from the sky. These people are all strong, with fierce eyes, and their whole bodies are filled with a heart-stopping smell of blood. Boom boom boom. One by one, powerful men with astonishing evil spirits fell to the ground. The leader was a strong man with sharp edges and the strongest bloody aura. The man saluted respectfully towards Ye Wuwei and shouted, "Soldiers, see the lord of the palace." This person is a soldier of one of the 9 divine envoys of the Temple of Punishment. The 9 divine envoys of the Temple of Punishment are named after the 9-character Taoist mantra, which are, Lin, Bing, Du, Zhe, Jun, Formation, Line, Forward, and Seeing. The strong men from the Temple of Killing behind the soldiers saluted at the same time and shouted in unison, "Meet the palace master." The sound was loud, like thunder exploding. The lingering sound shook the sky. The powerful power instantly suppressed the entire audience. Chapter 14. Is this the rumored extremely powerful temple killer? It's really so strong that it makes your heart tremble. At this moment, both Hu Dianchen and the elite Qinglong guards were filled with sighs. Even Qinglong god of war Hai Boping's eyes lit up at this moment. With such elite power, it's no wonder that the Temple of Death can kill all directions outside the territory. Not long ago, Bing led the strong men of the Killing God Palace to destroy a branch of the Killing God Palace. After receiving Ye Wuwei's assembly order, he immediately ordered all the powerful men under his command to enter Daxia in batches. There are about 50 or 60 people in this group of powerful men brought by the soldiers to kill the temple. But they stood there with a tyrannical aura, as if they were thousands of troops. "Break the door." Ye Wuwei's voice was cold as he gave the order. "Yes." Bing Shen shouted and waved his hand. Immediately, 10 strong men from the Temple of Killing rushed to the front door of the Zhao family and stood in a row. "Break!" The 10 strong men stood still, shouted loudly, and punched at the same time. Boom! Boom boom boom! The tall and grand gate of the Zhao family, as well as a large section of thick courtyard walls on both sides of the gate, seemed to have been hit by artillery shells and were instantly shattered. For a time, wood chips were flying, bricks and stones were flying, and smoke and dust were billowing. "Ah, my legs! Second brother! Hurry and report to the head of the family, they are taking action." The Zhao family warriors hiding behind the gate and courtyard wall were unable to dodge and screamed repeatedly. Seeing this, Ye Wuwei strode forward and went straight into Zhao's house. Ye Liuhobing followed closely behind, leading a group of powerful men from the Temple of Punishment into Zhao's house with murderous intent. Seeing this scene, Hai Boping rubbed his eyebrows and said in a deep voice, "The Zhao family is probably gone. Pay attention to the peripheral work and never let the news leak out." Hu Dianchen and Lu Pianan looked solemn and respectful. It seems that even the Qinglong god of war is not willing to protect the Zhao family, so the Zhao family is definitely gone. Then, the Qinglong god of war led the Qinglong guards and quickly followed. Stepping through the gate of the Zhao family and crossing a creek, you can see the glorious and majestic Zhao family lobby. As soon as Ye Wuwei and his people arrived at the square in front of the Zhao family's lobby, a large group of people poured out of the lobby. At the same time, groups of powerful warriors appeared on the buildings on both sides of the lobby. A rough calculation shows that these people together must be in the thousands. Directly in front of Ye Wuwei, a tall man stood in the middle. This person is Zhao Filong, the second son of Zhao Wuji and the richest man in Zhangzhou. Zhao Filong forced out a smile, cupped his hands with warrior etiquette, and said with a smile, "Your Excellency, you are the Lord of the Temple of Killing who is so famous outside the territory." Ye Wuwei ignored his question and said coldly, "Where is my daughter?" Being ignored like this for the first time, Zhao Filong felt extremely disrespected. However, when he thought of Ye Wuwei's reputation, Zhao Filong endured it. He kept a smile on his face and said, "Your love is fine, don't worry. Before handing your wife over to Hall Master Ye, there is a misunderstanding that needs to be resolved." After saying that, Zhao Filong clapped his hands. The crowd behind him parted, and 2 Zhao family warriors came out carrying a stretcher. The person on the stretcher was none other than Butler Lu, who had been dead for a long time. 2 Zhao family warriors came to the center of the square, put down the stretcher, and then quickly returned. Zhao Filong said slowly, "Palace Master Ye, I want to clarify something. What happened to your beloved has nothing to do with my Zhao family. This person is a housekeeper of my Zhao family. He secretly colluded with some unscrupulous people in Zhongcheng and caused great trouble. My Zhao family has cleared the house and handed over this person. I have heard of the name of Lord Ye, and I also know his style of conduct. I guess you won't believe my explanation. So, as long as Hall Master Ye takes people out of my Zhao family and promises not to cause trouble to my Zhao family in the future, I will immediately offer your love to you with both hands. Hearing this, the chill in Ye Wuwei's eyes became more and more intense, and he looked at Zhao Filong as if he were looking at a dead person. A creepy murderous aura quickly enveloped people. After hearing Zhao Filong's words, he realized that Ye Wuwei was about to go berserk, and the color of Hai Boping who had just arrived at the square changed rapidly. These idiots! He even used Ye Wuwei's daughter to threaten him. Hai Bo calmly shouted, "What are you talking about? Hand over that little girl quickly. Otherwise, your Zhao family will be in real trouble." Seeing Hai Boping's appearance, Zhao Filong nodded politely, and then said with a troubled face, "It turns out that the Qingyan god of war is here. Lord God of War can call me despicable, and I accept it. But I am a timid person, so for my own safety, I have to take this step. As long as Hall Master Ye nods and promises not to deal with my Zhao family from now on, I will send that little girl out immediately." Zhao Filong's helpless look almost made Hai Boping faint. These fools, knowing it is a last resort but still using it, are simply stupid. Moreover, even if he spoke in person, it didn't work. He wanted to go to heaven. Hai Boping was so angry that his chest heaved rapidly, and he was about to scold Zhao Filong angrily. "Kill him!" A voice filled with cold murderous intent suddenly rang in everyone's ears. The person who spoke was none other than the furious Ye Wuwei. Upon hearing the order, the soldiers jumped out suddenly. His figure was as fast as a ghost, so fast that it made people's hearts tremble. Whoosh! Bing appeared in front of Zhao Filong. He flipped his wrist, revealing a dark short knife. Zhao Filong's eyes widened, and before he had time to react, he felt a tightness in his chest. When he looked down, he saw that the dagger had already pierced his heart. The soldier twisted the handle of the knife, and instantly the red liquid splashed out. Well! Zhao Filong was about to cry out in pain, but the soldier pinched his throat. Then, Bing carried Zhao Filong, who was losing his vitality rapidly, to Ye Wuwei. Bang! The famous richest man in Zhangzhou was thrown in front of Ye Wuwei like a dead dog. There was dead silence in the square. The speed of the soldiers was so fast that all the warriors in the Zhao family were frightened and their scalps were numb and their bodies were shaking wildly. Hai Boping sighed softly, and then whispered, "Ye Wuwei, it's too much." After saying that, he suddenly attacked Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei turned around and struck out with Hai Boping. The next second, a scene that surprised Ye Wuwei appeared. Puff! Hai Boping flew backwards for more than 10 meters and spit out a mouthful of blood. Ye Wuwei knew Hai Boping's strength. This palm would definitely not make him vomit blood. Under Ye Wuwei's doubtful gaze, Hai Boping said in a deep voice, "The old injury has recurred, take me away." The elite Blue Dragon guards reacted, immediately picked up Hai Boping, and quickly exited the Zhao family. The Zhao family wanted to commit suicide and refused to obey, so Hai Boping no longer wanted to take care of it. In any case, the Zhao family is definitely gone, and Ye Wuwei will not let them go. Therefore, Hai Boping just wanted to get out, mobilize all his forces, and control the battle within the Zhao family. As for the fate of the Zhao family and the helpers invited by the Zhao family, they deserve it. Chapter 15. Second Brother. Zhao Yunhu, the third person in Dragon City, came to his senses and his eyes were about to burst. Seeing Zhao Filong die in front of his eyes, Zhao Yunhu was so angry that he went crazy. He took out a walkie-talkie and roared, "Come in, bring heavy weapons, and kill these demons. Quick!" The Dragon City Defense Force is near Zhao's house and carries heavy firepower. The Zhangzhou War Department said that no one is allowed in, so in principle, the Dragon City Defense Force can come in. At first, Zhao Yunhu only transferred the Dragon City Defense Force to act as a deterrent, but now he can no longer care about that much. Zhao Yunhu stared at Ye Wuwei with red eyes and roared, "I know you have great martial arts skills, but how many cannonballs can you handle? Today, you and your men will be buried with my second brother." Lu Pianon, who was at the very back of the crowd behind Ye Wuwei, frowned and walked out. Lu Pianon's face was filled with frost and he said coldly, "Zhao Yunhu, you are really crazy. Do you regard the Dragon City Defense Force as your Zhao family's private army? You are so brave to mobilize the Dragon City Defense Force without permission. I declare that you will be revoked from all positions, effective immediately. After saying that, Lu Pianon turned around and left. The Qingyan god of war and the Qingyan guards had just retreated so fast that Lu Pianon didn't even have time to catch up. Now that Zhao Yunhe was dismissed from his post, he felt that he had retired with great success, so he left very simply. Governor Lu. Zhao Yunhe's face turned green and white, and he yelled unwillingly at Lu Pianon's back. However, Lu Pianon ignored it and quickly walked out of Zhao's house. With Lu Pianon, the governor of Zhangzhou, Zhao Yunhe, the Dragon City Defense Army, cannot command. Flying Dragon. The crowd behind Zhao Yunhe separated, and Zhao Wuji, the head of the Zhao family, rushed out with an angry face. Zhao Wuji has been paying attention to everything happening in the square in the lobby. His plan was very thoughtful. He first asked Zhao Filong to come forward and distance himself from the Zhao family's relationship with the kidnapping incident. Then with the help of the power of the Qingyan god of war, Ye Wuwei did not dare to take action. In the end, he just stalled for time until his eldest son, Zhao Bolan, came back. Until then, return Nian Nian to Ye Wuwei. In his opinion, with Nian Nian in his hands, Ye Wuwei would not dare to act rashly. But he never expected that Ye Wuwei would be so decisive and murderous, killing Zhao Filong directly in front of the Qingyan god of war. What he didn't expect was that the Qingyan war god directly quit the Zhao family. Zhao Wuji gritted his teeth and looked at Ye Wuwei, and roared, Ye Wuwei, your daughter is still in my hands, you really don't care about her safety, right? Unless absolutely necessary, Zhao Wuji did not intend to threaten Ye Wuwei with Nian Nian's life. Because this means that both parties are completely at odds with each other. But now that his sons have been killed, Zhao Wuji can no longer control so much. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei's heart trembled. Of course he couldn't ignore his daughter's safety. But if you don't act tough enough, not only will you be taken advantage of, but your daughter will also be put in real danger. Ye Wuwei understands human nature very well. Once you are caught in a weak spot, you can only let others prey on you. You can kill her, but I promise, I will use the lives of hundreds of people from your Zhao family to bury her with her. Ye Wuwei took a deep breath, his voice full of murderous intent. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji was instantly horrified. What a cruel heart! What a strong evil spirit! He can be considered a person who has experienced strong winds and waves, but he has never seen anyone with such a murderous intention. Generally, people with serious murderous intentions have relatively little regard for family ties. But why did he go to such great lengths to mobilize the powerful men from the Temple of Punishment to join Daxia? He should care about the little girl's life and death, but he doesn't care that much. Zhao Wuji was covered in cold sweat, and his mind was in a mess. He couldn't guess what Ye Wuwei was thinking, and he didn't know how to deal with it for a while. Seeing Zhao Wuji's expression changing, Ye Wuwei said coldly again, hand over that child. Hearing this, Zhao Wuji gritted his teeth and said bitterly, I'll say it again, this matter has nothing to do with my Zhao family. I can hand over the child to you, but you must withdraw from the Zhao family, and you are not allowed to cause trouble to my Zhao family again in the future. I heard that you, the Lord of the Temple of Execution, have a huge promise, so you shouldn't be able to do anything to break the contract. Ye Wuwei narrowed his eyes slightly, then nodded, okay. He could see that Zhao Wuji had just lost a son and was on the verge of madness. Take your daughter into your hands first, and then take care of the Zhao family. Of course, he will keep his promise not to take action, nor will he let the soldiers and the group of temple-killing masters behind him take action. However, he only promised not to take action against the temple-killing experts present. Other experts from the Temple of Punishment are still on their way. When others arrived, the Zhao family was destroyed. Seeing Ye Wuwei agreed. Zhao Wuji growled, bring that little girl here. Then, the two sides looked at each other across the square. The atmosphere in the square was a bit strange and extremely depressing. After a few minutes, there was a sound of footsteps. A Zhao family warrior ran over carrying a small box. Under Zhao Wuji's instructions, the Zhao family warrior walked to the center of the square carrying the small box. Seeing this scene, Bing, Yelu, and all the masters of the Temple of Punishment were furious. These bastards actually put the little princess in such a small box. Ye Wuwei was so angry that his body trembled wildly, and his eyes shot out fierce lights. Whoosh! Ye Wuwei appeared in the center of the square. With the help of the moonlight, Ye Wuwei saw the pitiful little guy. Her face was pale and full of tears, and her eyes were full of fear of the world. What has such a young child gone through at his most innocent age to show such eyes? It seems that every person or thing that enters her world will become a weapon to hurt her. Ye Wuwei's blood boiled all over, and streams of hot blood rushed to his forehead, making him almost faint. His heart felt like it had been beaten by hundreds of sledgehammers, and the pain was excruciating. 2 lines of blood and tears flowed down uncontrollably. Ye Wuwei slowly reached into the small box with trembling hands. His movements were extremely gentle, for fear of hurting his flesh and blood, which had already suffered so much. Ye Wuwei's cautious look made Nianyan's eyes flash with a trace of confusion. Seeing Ye Wuwei's sad face again, as well as those 2 lines of blood and tears, Nianyan's fear of Ye Wuwei quickly subsided. This uncle seems different. Ye Wuwei took Nian out of the box and said in an unprecedented gentle voice, "Don't be afraid, it's safe. From now on, no one will be able to hurt you." Although he was very restrained, Ye Wuwei's voice still had a vibrato. Although Ye Wuwei was crying very ugly now, it gave Nian a great sense of security. She slowly stretched out a hand, gently wiped the blood and tears on Ye Wuwei's face, and said weakly, "Uncle, stop crying, there is blood in your tears." Mom said, "My dad is a man who bleeds, sweats, but never sheds tears. You should learn from my dad." When she mentioned the word dad, Nian's eyes lit up. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei's nose felt sour and he burst into tears again. "I can't control it, I really can't control it. Nian, do you miss daddy?" Ye Wuwei said in a tearful voice. Nian pursed her lips, looked gloomy, and whispered, "Think. But don't think too much. My mother said that my father is very powerful, the most powerful and unparalleled hero. But he is also working very hard. He is protecting everyone and cannot be disturbed. When I grow up, I will take the train to find him." This weak voice sounded like thunder in Ye Wuwei's ears. I burst into tears instantly. Ye Wuwei burst into tears and choked, Nian, you don't have to wait until you grow up. Dad is back. I'm sorry, Dad is late. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry." Chapter 16. Seeing Ye Wuwei's apologetic face, stained with blood and tears, Zhao Wuji's face turned ugly for a while. Miscalculated. The Lord of the Temple of Punishment cares about this little girl very much, even more than his own life. The attitudes shown before were all illusions. Zhao Wuji felt regretful and clenched his fists in anger. If he had known this, he could have made many articles about this little girl. But now that the little girl is in Ye Wuwei's hands, any attempt to take it back is just wishful thinking. Everyone in Zhu Temple was shocked when they saw this scene. The master of the palace actually cried, and even cried so hard that his heart broke. This. The outside world said that the master of the temple was ruthless and ruthless. Even some of the powerful men who joined later in the Temple of Punishment thought so. Now it seems that this idea is completely wrong. The palace master is not a cold-blooded person. Nian stared blankly at Ye Wuwei's tear-stained face, her eyes opened wider and wider, and the light in her eyes became stronger and stronger. Her mouth gradually became flat, but she resisted crying. Are you really the father?" As he said this, tears gradually welled up in Nian's big, sparkling eyes. Ye Wuwei nodded slightly, "It's me. Nian, Dad is back." Nian's lips trembled, trying not to cry. However, how can we control all the thoughts and grievances that burst out at this moment? "Wow Dad, I miss you so much. I'm not a sick kid that Daddy doesn't want. My dad is a hero and is protecting everyone, so that's why he didn't come back. Right, Dad?" Nian's little body fell on Ye Wuwei's chest, one arm hugged Ye Wuwei's neck tightly, she was extremely attached and cried loudly. Ye Wuwei stroked his precious daughter's back and nodded repeatedly, "Yes, Dad used to protect others, that's why he didn't come back. Dad likes you very much, why would he be willing to let you go?" After hearing these words with her own ears, Nian cried even louder. Because other children used to ask her where her father was? She said her father was a hero who protected others far away. No one else believed it and asked her to provide evidence. She couldn't produce any evidence and was called a liar. Her mother was already having a hard time, and she didn't want to go home and tell her mother. Just hiding in the corner and crying secretly. If others see her crying, they will call her a crybaby. Hearing his daughter cry so sadly, Ye Wuwei felt sad. How much wrong had she suffered to cry like this? Ye Wuwei gently touched Nian Nian's back and said nothing. Just release the emotions in your heart. As for the grievances I suffered in the past, I will take them back one by one in the future. Seeing one of Nian Nian's arms hanging limply to one side, Ye Wuwei's breathing suddenly became heavy. However, he didn't dare to show any momentum for fear of scaring his daughter. Ye Wuwei tried his best to restrain the urge to run away, looked at everyone in the Zhao family fiercely, and said in a deep voice, "Walk." After that, he turned around and walked out. First of all, I just promised not to do anything. Secondly, when my daughter is here, she cannot be allowed to see bloody scenes, lest it leave an indelible shadow on her young mind. The powerful men of the execution temple gave everyone in the Zhao family a fierce look and followed Ye Wuwei away. Seeing so many people following her and staring at her with bright eyes, Nian Nian felt a little shy and gradually stopped crying. With tears on her face, she leaned close to Ye Wuwei's ear and asked softly, "Dad, who are these uncles?" Ye Wuwei strode forward and said softly, "These are Dad's brothers and your uncles. They are all here to protect you." Hearing this, Nian Nian quickly wiped away her tears and said to Ye Lu and others, "Thank you, uncle." Mom said, "Be a polite child." Nian Nian always remembers this sentence. Hearing this thank you, all the powerful men of the execution temple were ecstatic. This thank you is so heartwarming. This trip is finally here. Our little princess from the Temple of Punishment is extraordinary. Not only is she smart, she is also extremely sensible. Everyone pulled the corners of their mouths and grinned. Even Bing, the always unsmiling envoy of the Temple of Punishment, tried his best to smile at this time. He has a cold nature and always has a cold face. But now I am afraid of scaring little Nian Nian, so I take the initiative to make changes. Ye Wuwei felt guilty when he saw his daughter was so sensible. For so many years, Qingyan has raised her children by herself, not only to make money to support her children, but also to teach her children so well. How hard it must have been. At this time, Ye Lu stepped forward quickly, winked at Nian Nian, and said with a smile, "Boss, Nian Nian's eyes are very similar to yours, with an indescribable determination. When she grows up, she will be as powerful as you." Ye Wuwei said matter-of-factly, "Of course, my daughter must be amazing." "Nian Nian, this is your uncle Ye Lu." Nian Nian immediately said obediently, "Hello, Uncle Ye Lu." Ye Lu's heart was filled with joy when he heard this sweet greeting. He laughed and nodded, "Good morning. From now on, just call me Uncle Six or Uncle Six." Nian Nian nodded heavily, "Yes." Soon, a group of people arrived outside the Zhao family gate. Hai Bopping, the Azure Dragon god of war, breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Ye Wuwei walking out with a little girl in his arms, and the powerful men from the execution temple behind him all smiling. It seems that things can come to an end. Fortunately, it didn't cause too big a wave. Although some people died in the process, those dogs deserved it. Hai Bopping led Hu Dianchan and others to quickly come forward and said as he walked, "Palace Master Ye, since your daughter has been taken back, the matter is over, there is no need for the rest of the Temple of God to come to Dragon City." Ye Wuwei glanced at him and said calmly, "Is the matter over? Is it so easy to end it?" Hai Bopping was speechless. He had already taken the children back, so what else could he do? "Hello, uncle." At this time, Nian Nian's voice appeared in everyone's ears. Hai Bopping took a closer look and saw that Nian Nian was saluting in his direction, using his left hand. Before Hai Bopping could speak, Nian Nian said a little disappointedly, "Uncle, I'm sorry, I know I should salute with my right hand. But I can't lift my right hand." As soon as these words came out, Hai Bopping, Hu Dianchan and others felt like they were struck by lightning. They knew that Nian Nian saluted them because they were wearing military uniforms and it was a tribute to their status. Seeing Nian Nian's arm that couldn't be raised, seeing such a small child saluting from the bottom of his heart. Such a sensible child has suffered so much. Hai Bopping and others clenched their fists and secretly gritted their teeth. Hai Bopping smiled and shook his head gently, "It's okay, Uncle knows that you understand. Uncle promises that he will find the best doctor to cure you." After that, he tilted his head slightly and said, "Immediately find the best hospital in Longcheng and arrange the most professional orthopedic surgeons to be on call at any time." Zhangzhou Governor Lu Pianan solemnly nodded, "Yes. It will be arranged soon." The words just fell. Boom boom boom. Boom. A motorcade rushed forward and quickly arrived at the gate of Zhao's house. Then, one by one the powerful warriors jumped out of the car and quickly came to Ye Wuwei. The leader is none other than Dou, one of the 9 great envoys of the Temple of Punishment. Chapter 17. Dou straightened his body, faced Ye Wuwei, and shouted, "Meet the palace master." The strong man from temple killing behind him took a deep breath and was about to roar. Ye Wuwei glanced at her and said, "Keep your voice down, don't scare my daughter." Well. The strong men of the execution temple froze for a moment and glanced at Nian excitedly. "This is the little princess. So cute. But he looks so bad." Everyone lowered their voices and said respectfully, "See the palace master." Ye Wuwei nodded, looked at the Zhao family, and said in a deep voice, "Dou, take your people in and bring out a person named Zhao Fenjian. Whoever blocks his path will be killed directly." Through the interrogation of Wang Baxian, Ye Wuwei already knew that Zhao Fenjian was responsible for all this. Therefore, Ye Wuwei never believed the nonsense the Zhao family said that had nothing to do with the Zhao family. "Yes." Dou responded and waved his hand, "Follow me." Then, Dou rushed into Zhao's house with the powerful men from the Temple of Punishment who had just arrived. "What are you doing? Ye Wuwei has promised not to take action against our Zhao family. Is he going to break his promise? Please ask the ancient master to help my Zhao family. I will be grateful in the future." Soon, roars and curses came from within the Zhao family. Immediately afterwards, violent sounds of fighting were heard, and both sides took action. Hearing the movement inside, Ye Wuwei raised his eyebrows. Unexpectedly, the Zhao family also has a first-grade grandmaster. The 9 great envoys of the Temple of Punishment are all powerful men at the first-grade grandmaster level. If Dou was restrained by the first-grade grandmaster invited by the Zhao family, the battle would not end so quickly. The group of temple-killing experts led by Dou were mostly masters of the 3rd-grade martial king level, and there were about 40 of them. Ye Wuwei had observed before that the Zhao family invited a lot of King Wu, about 20 or 30. Coupled with more than 100 martial arts masters and hundreds of warriors, it is not easy to kill the Zhao family in a short time. Thinking of this, Ye Wuwei looked at Ye Lu and asked, "Who will arrive next?" Ye Lu looked at his phone, "It's the Array Divine Envoy. The envoy of the Array has rushed to the edge of Dragon City and will be there soon." Ye Wuwei nodded, then there would be no problem. When the people from the formation arrived, the destruction of the Zhao family was certain. At this time, a group of people came running towards the collapsed gate of the Zhao family. The leader is none other than Zhao Wuji, the head of the Zhao family. Zhao Wuji was furious and roared, "Ye Wuwei, you promised not to take action against my Zhao family, why did you go back on your word?" Ye Wuwei looked at him indifferently, disdaining to explain. Ye Lu took over the conversation and sneered, "Old man, grandpas are standing here, which of your eyes saw us taking action?" Zhao Wuji was stunned for a moment, then realized what he was doing and beat his chest in anger. He thought that the strong men from the Temple of Punishment who rushed into Zhao's house were all the people who came from the Temple of Punishment. Others were naturally intercepted. Who would have thought that now another group of temple-killing powerhouses have arrived? Are the 4 frontier troops all losers? What do war departments in various places do for food? Why can't you stop these people? Zhao Wuji's body was trembling, he was angry and resentful, his teeth were clenching loudly, and his teeth were almost broken. These people in Zushan Temple are too strong. The combat experience was too rich and the attacks were too ruthless. Even with dozens of times their number of men, they could not defeat them. We can only use wheel battles to delay time and barely maintain balance. I just hope it can be delayed a little longer until Liner comes back." Zhao Wuji gave Ye Wuwei a resentful look, turned around angrily, and led his men back to the square to continue fighting. Bing's teeth itched at the sight, and he said bitterly, "This old BD, I." The words were not finished. Cough. A slight cough reached Bing's ears. "Dad, are you sick?" "No, my throat suddenly felt a little itchy." After hearing these 2 lines of dialogue, Bing smiled coquettishly at Ye Wuwei and Xiao Nian. He was used to swearing, and for a moment he forgot that the little princess was still next to him. "It seems that I have to pay attention to my words and deeds in the future to avoid teaching bad things to children." At this time, Lu Pianon came to Ye Wuwei and said cautiously, "Mr. Ye, the hospital has made arrangements, and the most authoritative orthopedic surgeon is also in place." Hearing this, Ye Wuwei looked into Nian's eyes and said softly, "Nian, you and Uncle Yelu are going to the hospital to see a doctor." "Dad, I still have some things to deal with." I'll find you after I finish, okay? The fighting inside is too noisy and children should not be here. Moreover, when the formation leaders arrive later, there will definitely be large-scale casualties. By then, those wailing sounds might scare Nian Nian. Therefore, Ye Wuwei took this opportunity to send Nian Nian away. Despite all the reluctance in her heart, Nian Nian still nodded reluctantly, "Dad, you must come and see me. I will always wait for you. Otherwise, or I'll cry." Tears are her last resort and her most helpless call. Ye Wuwei touched his daughter's head lovingly and said softly, "Don't worry, Daddy won't leave when he comes back this time. He will stay with you from now on." "Really?" Nian Nian's eyes shone brightly, her big, bright eyes filled with anticipation. Ye Wuwei smiled and nodded, "Of course it's true." Ye Lu echoed from the side, "Nian Nian, I testify that your father never lies to others." Hearing this, a sweet smile appeared on Nian Nian's face, "Dad, how soon will you come to see me?" "Dad will be here soon after you see the doctor." Ye Wuwei looked serious. As soon as these words came out, Nian Nian immediately leaned her upper body towards Ye Lu and urged, "Uncle Lu, let's go quickly." She feels that by saving a little time now, she can see her father sooner. Ye Lu looked surprised, carefully took Nian Nian, and nodded towards Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei looked at Bing and said, "Bing, take someone with you to protect him." "Yes." Bing nodded solemnly. Next to him, Hai Boping's eyelids twitched, he looked at a team leader of the Qingyan guards, and said seriously, "You also bring people to do the guard work. If these temple-killing warriors were to cause trouble in the city, the consequences would be unimaginable." Therefore, Hai Boping arranged for a team of Qingyan guards to accompany him. It is both protection and surveillance. "Yes." The team leader shook his body and saluted. Then, Ye Lu and others left quickly. More than 10 minutes later, Buzz Buzz, a motorcycle team, rushed straight towards Zhao's house. Motorcycles were speeding through the streets. "Stab it!" The screech of brakes sounded. One after another, the motorcycles made a very graceful drift and stopped behind Ye Wuwei. One by one, warriors with strong aura jumped out of the car. The leader is none other than one of the 9 divine envoys of the Temple of Punishment. Zhen. The formation looked serious, saluted respectfully, and shouted, "See the palace master." The powerful men from the Temple of Execution behind him moved in unison and shouted in unison, "See the Lord of the Temple." Ye Wuwei nodded, raised his hand and pointed at the Zhao family, and said in a deep voice, "Do is inside, go in and help him." "Come in!" Zhen roared, charging into Zhao's house first. A group of powerful men from the Temple of Execution followed closely behind and entered the Zhao family. Seeing this scene, Hai Boping sighed lightly. The Zhao family is gone. Really? With the addition of the formation, the situation inside changed suddenly. Heart-rending screams came one after another. Anyone who does unrighteousness will surely die. The entire Zhao family faced a disaster. Chapter 18. "Ah, my legs, I will fight with you. Master Zhao, why are there another group of masters? We can't stand it anymore." In the square outside the Zhao family lobby, blood donations were everywhere, and countless people wailed in pain. With the addition of the powerful warriors from the Temple of Death led by Genji, the balance was instantly broken. Just a few minutes. 2/3 of the hundreds of warriors from the Zhao family were already dead. The major forces that came to support the Zhao family suffered heavy casualties. Because the warriors trained by the Zhao family have relatively higher combat effectiveness. Although the supporting forces have many people, their combat effectiveness is low. When these people faced the wolf-like and tiger-killing temple powerhouses, it was no different than giving away their heads. It's just like chopping melons and vegetables, and it's a big piece in one fell swoop. The one who fought the most fiercely in the entire Zhao family was Do, and the first-grade grandmaster invited by the Zhao family, Furukawa. The fight between 2 first-grade grandmasters was full of power. Wherever they passed, houses collapsed and were scattered into ruins. Seeing this scene, Zhao Wuji's face was full of despair. 10 years of Zhongzhou. Centennial Zhao family. The Zhao family has been operating in Zhongzhou for hundreds of years and has gained its current foundation and influence. Unexpectedly, just overnight, he would be reduced to such a situation. Is the Zhao family going to die? Zhao Wuji was unwilling to give in and wanted to make a final struggle. He roared loudly, "Please hold on, when my son Bolin comes back, he will definitely protect the safety of my Zhao family and everyone." The eldest son Zhao Bulan is Zhao Wuji's last hope. As long as Zhao Bulan, the powerful god of war, arrives, he will definitely be able to reverse the situation. Hearing this, everyone mustered up the last bit of courage in their hearts, shrunk the battle group, only defended but not attacked, gritting their teeth and holding on. If the Zhao family hadn't had a god of war, they wouldn't have fought so hard for the Zhao family. After paying such a high price for the Zhao family this time, Zhao Bulan will definitely not treat everyone badly afterwards. As time goes by, the Zhao family's warriors are gone. Those forces that supported the Zhao family were killed until there were only 3 or 2 kittens left. In the end, these few people retreated to the lobby of the Zhao family, struggling to support themselves. In the square outside the lobby, warriors fell on the ground. Seeing that there were fewer and fewer people around him, even the third son Zhao Yunhe was slapped to death in front of him. Zhao Wuji, who was protected at the center, felt sad in his heart. A heart-rending scream sounded. The Zhao family paid a lot of money to pay a large sum of money to worship a second-grade martial arts master, but he was torn apart with his bare hands. That terrifying scene made Zhao Wuji's heart tremble. After killing the second-grade martial artist, the formation came to the front of Zhao Wuji, with a sneer on his lips. Zhao Wuji closed his eyes in despair, with a muddy tear falling from the corner of his eye. In order to strengthen the Zhao family, Zhao Wuji planned his whole life, did many shady things, and paid a lot. Years of hard work were destroyed overnight. This life seems to have become a joke. He now regrets that he did not teach Zhao Fenjian well and strictly prohibited him from going out to cause trouble, which brought disaster to the family. However, there is no regret medicine in the world. Zhao Waoqi's thinking is completely an afterthought. The Zhao family is a big divat. Even if he teaches Zhao Fenjian to accumulate virtue and do good, Zhao Fenjian will still turn bad under the influence of his ears and eyes. The Zhao family has a bad family tradition and cannot teach any good people. Presumptuous! If you dare to commit murder in my Zhao family, you are seeking death. At this moment, a roar sounded over the Zhao family. Zhao Wuji was instantly ecstatic. My son Bulan is back. My Zhao family is saved. A terrifying aura swept through the Zhao family, and the hearts of countless people instantly became extremely depressed. Zhen frowned and shouted, "Get out!" After that, he led all the powerful men from the Temple of Killing to exit the lobby and came to the square outside. Dou and Furukawa also stopped fighting and rushed to the square. Everyone looked up at the night sky and saw several armed helicopters hovering over the Zhao family. Zhao Wuji walked out of the lobby tremblingly, looking at the night sky and crying and laughing. Under everyone's gaze, a powerful man descended from the sky. Boom! The man fell into the square. This man is Zhao Wuji's eldest son, the spiritual support of everyone in the Zhao family, and the new god of war in Great Xia. Zhao Bulan. Because there is a word Lin in his name, when the fourth arbiter of the Council of Elders named Zhao Bulan the god of war, he gave him a very domineering title, Qingyan god of war. It seems that he hopes that Zhao Bulan can grow into a being like the 4 gods of war. From now on, when people mention the Great Xia god of war, their first reaction will not be the 4 gods of war, but the 5 gods of war. Zhao Bulan looked at the corpses on the ground and the countless houses that had collapsed. His face was ashen and he was so angry that he was so angry. The family of the majestic god of war was actually destroyed like this. He suddenly looked towards Dou Hezhen and shouted, "Where is Ye Wuwei? This is Daxia territory. If you dare to be so arrogant, you are seeking death." The words just fell. An indifferent voice sounded over the square, "Qingyan god of war. You want to die too?" Zhao Bulan suddenly turned his head and looked in the direction of the Zhao family gate. Then I saw a large group of people entering Zhao's house. The leader was none other than Ye Wuwei. Behind Ye Wuwei, there were 3 powerful men. These 3 people are Lin, Zhe, and Ji among the 9 divine envoys. Lin, the leader of the 9 divine envoys, wore a mask on his face and had a fierce light in his eyes. When the 3 divine envoys arrived, Ye Wuwei saw that the battle inside was coming to an end, so he did not let them in. Unexpectedly, Zhao Bulan rushed back. "Come to the square." Ye Wuwei and Zhao Bulan looked at each other coldly. Zhao Bulan laughed angrily and said, Okay, God of punishment has become so rampant. Do you think you can still get out of Daxia?" Ye Wuwei's eyes were indifferent and he said coldly, "Whether we can get out of Daxia is not decided by you, the god of war who pretended to be the leader of the military and was forcibly promoted." These words were like a thorn piercing Zhao Bulan's heart. Zhao Bulan was instantly furious. you are looking for death. Before he finished speaking, he went straight to kill Ye Wuwei. The Zhao family felt extremely honored to become the god of war. This is the biggest shame in Zhao Bolan's heart. Seeing Zhao Bolan coming to kill him, Ye Wuwei remained motionless. Next to him, Lin, the leader of the 9 divine envoys of the Temple of Punishment, took a step forward and blocked Ye Wuwei's front. Boom! The airwaves rolled. He blocked Zhao Bolan's blow. The violent airwave blew away the mask on his face, revealing a face with half of his face burnt. Seeing this disfigured face, Zhao Bolan's expression changed wildly. Qin Fengqing, you are not dead. Lin Han said in a voice, there is no Qin Fengqing in this world, only the envoy of the Temple of Punishment, Lin. Lin and Zhao Bolan once fought side by side and were comrades in arms through life and death. However, during a mission, Zhao Bolan delayed the fighter plane, causing the entire team to be killed, leaving only one person alive. Fortunately, Ye Wuwei rescued him from the sea of fire, and Lin was able to survive. Zhao Bolan clenched his fists in pain and said in a deep voice, I don't want to do anything to you, just leave. Lin smiled coldly, but I want to kill you to avenge the brothers in that fire. Zhao Bolan gritted his teeth, don't force me, you are no match for me now. Above the first level, there are 3 realms that few people know about. Emperor Wu, Martial Saint, and the God of War who only exists in legend. To become the God of War, the hard conditions are to break through to the Martial Emperor realm and achieve great military exploits. In addition, military command capabilities are also important factors to consider. In order to become the God of War, Zhao Bolan has used secret medicine to forcibly break through to the Martial Emperor realm. Lin is a first-grade Grandmaster and is indeed no match for Zhao Bolan. A sarcastic smile appeared at the corner of Lin's mouth, I have made new friends, but you, selfish, are still a loner. Brothers, do you dare to cross the border and challenge this superior Qingyan god of war? As soon as these words came out, there was a burst of laughter. Dou strode forward, it's not like we haven't ambushed Emperor Wu before, so we're scared. The reporter rubbed his fists and said with a smile, Lin, if you kill this thing, you have to call me big brother. Everyone laughed, that's it. Zhen remained silent, took out a military thorn, and assumed an attack stance. Seeing this, Zhao Bolan's face turned dark and he said, if you are stubborn, don't blame me for being ruthless. Hear the words. The aura of the 5 great envoys suddenly exploded, killing Zhao Bolan. The war breaks out suddenly. Chapter 19. The 5 great envoys are all first-grade Grandmasters. Moreover, they are 5 first-level Grandmasters with extremely rich fighting experience and experience in crossing borders to ambush strong men in the Martial Emperor realm. With just one eye contact, the 5 people divided up the tasks. Lin Hedu, the strongest among the 5, was responsible for the frontal attack. The Zhe, Ji and Zhen formations then distanced themselves and attacked from 3 directions. As soon as the fighting broke out, the situation became very fierce. The deafening bombardment made many people feel numb. The violent air waves are like waves, blowing in all directions in layers. Ye Wuwei looked at the battlefield calmly, with a hint of relief flashing in his eyes. The cooperation of these guys is becoming more and more tacit, and they no longer need their own guidance. As soon as the 2 sides fought, Zhao Bolan was under siege. No matter how hard he tried, he could not break through the cage woven by the 5 great envoys. Now he can only rely on the advantage of a higher realm to remain undefeated, but it is difficult to break the game. Ye Wuwei withdrew his gaze and looked sideways at a powerful man from the Temple of Execution next to him, saying, take people to search the Zhao family. Even if you dig 3 feet into the ground, you still have to find the person named Zhao Fenjian. Yes. The powerful man who killed the temple respectfully accepted the order. Then, all the powerful men from the Temple of Execution beside Ye Wuwei scattered and rushed into the hinterland of the Zhao family. Seeing so many strong men breaking into the core area of the Zhao family, Zhao Wuji's face turned pale. He gave Ye Wuwei a vicious look, then looked at the first-grade Grandmaster Gu He next to him, and said urgently, Gu Grandmaster, please take action and break the situation for my son. The Zhao family will definitely be richly rewarded afterwards. At this time, Furukawa's hair was messy, his clothes were ragged, and he didn't look like a master at all. Although he had successfully restrained Dou before, he was always being suppressed and beaten by Dou. Basically, he could only parry but not fight back. After Zhao Bolan came back, Dou gave up the fight with Furukawa, and the latter had a chance to breathe. Hearing Zhao Wuji's request, Gu He glanced at Ye Wuwei fearfully and shook his head solemnly. Master Zhao, I agreed before coming here to help the Zhao family once and repay the favor from 2 years ago. Gu just made a move for the Zhao family, the favor is over. After saying that, Furukawa clasped his hands and saluted Zhao Wuji. Immediately, Gu He moved his feet, bypassed the battlefield, and came to Ye Wuwei. Gu He looked serious, raised his fists and saluted Ye Wuwei, and said nervously, I have met Lord yet. Do you know me? Ye Wuwei looked cold. Gu He shook his head, I have never met Master Ye before, but I learned not long ago that the person coming to Zhao's house tonight is a strong man from the Temple of Punishment, so I guessed a thing or two. Tonight Gu just wanted to return a favor to the Zhao family. He didn't know that he was going to attack the Temple of Punishment before he came here. He did not intend to be an enemy of the Temple of Punishment. Please forgive me, Lord Yet. Ye Wuwei's aura was so strong that Furukawa, the famous first-grade Grandmaster, was breaking out in cold sweat at this moment. After arriving at Zhao's house and learning that tonight's opponent was someone from the Temple of Punishment, Furukawa felt regretful. When he was traveling outside the territory, he happened to see Tianxia, one of the 4 kings of the Temple of Punishment, take action. The ruthlessness and ferocity were still fresh in his memory. Now facing Ye Wuwei, the more powerful lord of the Temple of Death, he had no temper at all. If Ye Wuwei wanted to kill him, he didn't know how many moves he could sustain. Excuse me. Ye Wuwei raised his eyebrows and said coldly, you were my enemy just now you want me to forgive you. Hearing this, Gu He's heart trembled, his thoughts whirled, and he said urgently, Palace Master Yet, Gu knows something about your love, and hopes to be able to help Master Yet. He knew that Ye Wuwei cared about Nian's safety and hoped to use the information to gain understanding. Ye Wuwei narrowed his eyes and shot out 2 fierce lights, falling on Gu He. Nian is Ye Wuwei's inverse scale, she will die if she touches her, and no one is allowed to make a fuss about her. Furukawa's body trembled, he bent down slightly and remained silent. Tell me about it. Remember, you only have one chance to explain. Ye Wuwei's voice was cold and bone-chilling, and the strong murderous intent made Furukawa's heart beat wildly. Furukawa nodded bravely and said in a trembling voice, we were in the back hall before. The Zhao family was worried that your daughter wouldn't be able to hold on, so they asked me to check on her condition. She was very weak, partly from being frightened and beaten. And the bigger reason is that she was poisoned. Poisoned? Hearing these 2 words, Ye Wuwei's heart suddenly skipped a beat. According to the investigation by the Intelligence Department of the Temple of Death, Ye Wuwei already knew that Nian suffered from a strange disease a year ago. Hot and cold alternately. When it's cold, it's like falling into an ice cave. When hot, it burns like a burning fire. In order to treat Nian, Qingyan spent all his savings and borrowed a lot of money from everywhere. However, a lot of money was invested, but it was like a mud cow drowning in the sea, and the symptoms did not change at all. Ye Wuwei thought that it was just a rare and difficult disease. With the current financial resources of the Zhu Temple, even if several medical research institutes were established, it would be able to overcome it. But he never expected that it turned out to be poisoning. Are you sure? Ye Wuwei's breathing became a little rapid, and he couldn't help but clenched his fists. Furukawa nodded repeatedly and solemnly said, it's absolutely true. When I traveled outside the territory, I saw this disease in the western continent. Everything in that village is like this. I studied medical skills for a few days and wanted to rescue him, but I received death threats. Later, after secret observation, I discovered that a mysterious organization was secretly poisoning the water source of that village. The people in that village are all experimental subjects of that mysterious organization. That mysterious organization was very large, and it was alone outside the territory. I didn't dare to know too much about it, so I left. A few months later, before I returned to Daxia, I took a detour to that village. As a result, the entire village disappeared. The place where the houses were originally built has turned into a green belt. It's like the village has evaporated. Furukawa looked serious and did not dare to hide anything. After hearing these words, Ye Wuwei's face was filled with frost, and thoughts were racing in his mind. If you are really poisoned, you have to figure out the formula of the poison if you want to detoxify. In addition, there is a doubt that needs to be clarified. The mysterious organization in the western continent uses people from the entire village for experiments. How could it come all the way to Daxia and choose Nian as the experimental subject? There must be something fishy about it. Palace Master! Zhao Fenjian caught it. At this moment, a series of sounds broke through the air. A group of strong men from the Temple of Killing rushed over with a frightened man in tow. This person is none other than the eldest son of the Zhao family who is loved by thousands of people. Zhao Fenjian. Only half a year after returning to Zhongzhou, Zhao Fenjian's reputation for being charming and unrestrained spread throughout Zhongzhou. Spending money lavishly is just his daily operation, and spending money like water is even more normal. There are basically all kinds of parties and get-togethers, and people are having fun every night. Countless beauties flocked to him and dreamed of having S*X with him. Because he spends generously and never treats everyone who has a relationship with him badly. Seeing Zhao Fenjian, a flash of light flashed in Ye Wuwei's mind. According to intelligence, Zhao Fenjian has been studying abroad in the past few years and only came back suddenly this year. Nianyan's illness started a year ago, when Zhao Fenjian was still abroad. Could he have contact with the mysterious organization that Furukawa mentioned? A year ago, he sent someone to secretly poison Nianyan in order to take revenge on Qingyan. Thinking of this possibility, the murderous aura in Ye Wuwei almost solidified. Chapter 20. Zhao, Feng, Yun. Ye Wuwei called out Zhao Fenjian's name word by word. Zhao Fenjian, who was kneeling on the ground, trembled wildly and raised his head in horror. Seeing Ye Wuwei's eyes filled with murderous intent, Zhao Fenjian was horrified and immediately lowered his head. Under his body, a pool of yellow liquid gradually flowed out. Ye Wuwei kicked Zhao Fenjian over and stepped on the latter's thigh, applying force bit by bit. The severe pain in his legs made Zhao Fenjian break out in cold sweat and let out a shrill wail. Ye Wuwei has always been decisive in killing, and he usually kills with one blow. But for Zhao Fenjian, he didn't want this beast to die too quickly. He wanted to make it difficult for Zhao Fenjian to die. Crack! Zhao Fenjian's thigh was crushed. The intense pain caused Zhao Fenjian to tremble crazily all over and almost fainted. However, Ye Wuwei controlled his strength very well, and even wanting to faint was a luxury. Spare my life! I was wrong, I was really wrong. Zhao Fenjian burst into tears and frantically begged for mercy. How could he, who had been pampered since childhood, experience such torture? Ye Wuwei just used some tricks, but it already made him suffer unbearably. The poison on my daughter was probably your fault. I don't know what the poison is. Ye Wuwei's eyes turned cold. Crack! He stepped on Zhao Fenjian's other thigh. The entire leg's bones were shattered into powder. How did you get that poison? I don't know what you are talking about. Zhao Fenjian's face was distorted in pain and he refused to admit the poisoning. Seeing his youngest son being tortured, Zhao Wuji in the distance couldn't hold himself any longer. He burst into tears instantly and rushed over madly. A strong man from the Temple of Execution smiled coldly and was about to kill him with a palm. Unexpectedly, Zhao Wuji actually made an action that no one expected. He bent his knees and knelt down directly towards Ye Wuwei. Master Ye, please let him go. One life is worth one life, I am willing to die on his behalf. Although he had scolded Zhao Fenjian like a little beast before, Zhao Fenjian was the one who loved Zhao Wuji the most among the four sons. Dad! Don't kneel! Zhao Fenjian's eyes were blood red, he shook his head wildly, and yelled miserably. Zhao Wuji had been stubborn all his life. Even when the governor of Zhongzhou took office, he had to pay a visit to the Zhao family. Zhao Fenjian knew how proud Zhao Wuji was. When he saw his old father kneeling down for him, his psychological defense instantly collapsed. Seeing this scene, Ye Wuwei curled up into a sneer. As long as you are human, you will definitely have weaknesses. Now, he found Zhao Fenjian's weakness. Take them down, life or death, and be sure to pry open this BCH's mouth. Ye Wuwei ordered harshly. The Temple of Punishment roams the underground world all year round, dealing with extremely vicious people, so it naturally has sufficient torture methods. I don't know how many rounds Zhao Fenjian can last. The person in charge of torture at the Temple of Punishment has a professional background and is not blindly violent. Upon hearing this, several powerful men from the Temple of Punishment immediately dragged Zhao Wuji and Zhao Fenjian away. What awaits them will be physical and psychological torture. You are seeking death. Seeing his father being dragged away, Zhao Bolan, who was being besieged, roared and tried his best to get rid of the entanglement. However, although the 5 great envoys suffered varying degrees of injuries, they became increasingly brave as they fought. Zhao Bolin relied on medicine to forcibly ascend to the Emperor Martial Realm, but could not maintain his combat power at the Emperor Martial Realm for too long. Therefore, he became increasingly weak. Even if he was furious and wanted to fight for his life, he still couldn't break out of the attack circle of the 5 divine envoys. Zhao Bolin's defeat was only a matter of time. Ye Wuwei just glanced at Zhao Bolin and then looked away, not taking it to heart. He had killed many powerful men of Zhao Bolin's level a few years ago. Leaving Zhao Bolin to the 5 great envoys to practice can still make some gains. Master Yat, can I leave? Furukawa, who had been standing beside him tremblingly, spoke cautiously, looking at Ye Wuwei expectantly. Ye Wuwei's expression softened and he said in a deep voice, "Whatever. I believe you for now. If I find out later that you lied to me, I can find you even if you hide in the ends of the earth." Furukawa shook his head vigorously, "I don't dare. I'm not going anywhere during this period, I'll just stay in Dragon City." "Where is your wife now?" "I know a little bit about medical skills and know some medical experts. Maybe I can contribute some help." The stone hanging in Furukawa's heart finally fell to the ground. If we can take this opportunity to establish some contact with the Temple of Punishment, that would be even more desirable. Thinking that Gu He had seen this kind of poison in the Western continent, Ye Wuwei thought for a moment and solemnly said, "My daughter has been sent to the hospital for treatment. If Mr. Gu can cure the poison on her body, I, Ye Wuwei, will remember this favor and the Temple of God can take action for Mr. Gu in the future." The words Mr. Gu made Furukawa's heart beat wildly. And the promise that the entire Temple of Punishment would take action made him even more breathless. This is an opportunity that countless top powers would break their heads to get. It is said that the Lord of the Temple of God will not break his promise on such a matter. Gu He suppressed the ecstasy in his heart and said seriously, "Gu will go all out." Ye Wuwei nodded and directly arranged for a strong man from the Temple of Punishment to take Gu He to the hospital. Not long after Furukawa left, a sound broke through the air. "Qinglong God of War Hai Bopping is here." Hai Bopping held a mobile phone and said in a deep voice, "Palace Master Yat, the impact of this gathering in the Temple of Punishment is too great. The Elder Council wants to talk to you directly." The Council of Elders, the pyramid spire of Bactria. This kind of existence has a direct dialogue, and the impact of the Temple of Punishment this time is evident. Ye Wuwei took the phone, turned on the speakerphone, and said coldly, "What do you want to say?" Soon, a powerful voice came from the loudspeaker, "Ye Wuwei, I am Shang Keoch, the 4th adjudicator. I will speak directly to you on behalf of the Council of Elders." Hearing the name Shang Keoch, Ye Wuwei's eyes narrowed. The most mysterious special operations force in Great Xia, Dragon Fang, which he once served in, was directly under the Council of Elders. All actions are directly commanded by the Elder Council, and even the Great Xia War Department has no right to interfere. Everyone in the Council of Elders is a high-ranking and powerful person, and they usually have a lot of things to do. Responsibilities were also divided within the Council of Elders. Every 4th arbiter is the direct leader of Lonja, the supreme commander of Lonja, and is responsible for all aspects of Lonja's affairs. Only when major decisions are encountered will they be discussed together by the entire Council of Elders. 3 years ago, the supreme commander of Lonja and the previous 4th arbiter passed away mysteriously. The matter was so big that even Ye Wuwei, the captain of Lonja's 1st Brigade, didn't know the truth. After the incident, the entire 1st Brigade left Lonja and left Daxia. And Shang Keoch soon became the new 4th seat. Now Lonja is in charge of him. Perhaps feeling that the foundation was unstable, Shang Keoch promoted 3 gods of war in just 3 years. Zhao Bolin, who was being beaten, was one of them. Perhaps because he didn't like Shang Keoch's behavior, Ye Wuwei felt a little repelled by the new 4th seat. "Ye Wuwei, you have emotions, we understand. However, it's time to have enough trouble. The impact of the gathering in the Temple of Punishment is greater than you think. Don't forget, you are also from Daxia, and you once shed your blood for this country. Stop it." Shang Keoch's tone of voice was a bit heavy and emotional. Ye Wuwei was silent for a moment and said slowly, "Don't bother, I will make my own judgment." He never forgot who he was. At the same time, he did not forget his mission. "I'm talking to you, please don't go too far. This is Daxia, not an outsider where you can do whatever you want." Shang Keoch's tone became more serious. Ye Wuwei narrowed his eyes, "Are you threatening me?" Chapter 21. Imperial Capital. Heavenly Palace. "Are you threatening me?" 5 cold words echoed in the room. The room instantly became extremely quiet. The faces of the 5 beings who stood on top of the clouds in Daxia and looked down at the world all darkened. This sentence is too arrogant. The Temple of Punishment is indeed very powerful and has done a lot for Daxia, but it must not rely on its past achievements to challenge the Elder Council. To a certain extent, the 5 elders all acquiesced in the things Ye Wuwei was doing in Daxia. This is already a huge concession. Shang Keoj took a deep breath, controlled his emotions, and said in a deep voice, Ye Wuwei, do you know what you are talking about? I advise you not to speak emotionally. As the 4th arbiter of the Council of Elders, he can be said to be an unparalleled existence in Daxia. To be able not to be angry at this time is already the maximum tolerance of Shang Keoj. Other side. Ye Wuwei said coldly, I know exactly what I am talking about. If you really want to talk, just talk to me in person. Shang Keoj was very decisive and said in a deep voice, okay, I will go to Longcheng to find you in person. But there is one requirement. Can't hurt Zhao Bolan. The Zhao family has paid the price for what the Zhao family committed, and it has nothing to do with Zhao Bolan. He is my great Xia god of war, we cannot touch him. Ye Wuwei glanced at Zhao Bolan, who was already at a disadvantage not far away, and said coldly, I can't agree. I won't take action against him, but whether he can survive depends on his own ability. If he can't even deal with a few great masters, what qualifications do he have to be the great Xia god of war? Shang Keoj spoke righteously, but only he himself knew whether there was any selfishness in it. Ye Wuwei was too lazy to guess, and he didn't want to guess either. You. Shang Keoj was so angry that he was speechless for a moment. There was a pause. Shang Keoj said fiercely, I'll put my words here. If Zhao Bolan dies, those who follow me to Dragon City will be the 2 war gods and the 3 brigades of Dragon Ye. As soon as he finished speaking, the phone was hung up. Ye Wuwei threw the phone to Hai Bopping and said calmly, it seems that the elders want to press my head down and bow to them. Hai Bopping shook his head solemnly, no. The 5 existences of the Council of Elders will never be so small-minded. They are thinking more about the whole of Bactria. Ye Wuwei was silent and non-committal. Ye Wuwei has reached his current heights, with 100,000 elite soldiers under his command, and underground forces all over the world are afraid of him. He understood one thing personally, no matter how much power you control, no matter how terrifying energy you possess. Humans are still humans, not gods. Everyone will have emotions, selfishness, and differences in vision and structure. It is foolish to mythologize the superior because of the status gap. Seeing Ye Wuwei's silence, Hai Bopping continued, the impact of this gathering in the Temple of Punishment is too great, and the surrounding evil wolves are ready to attack. If it is not handled properly, the entire Daxia border will be in flames of war. Master Ye, to be honest, our border troops don't want to start a fight with the Temple of Death. Only we, the border troops, know how much pressure you have relieved us. Let Zhao Bolan go and have a good talk with the Elder Council. I know that you have saved your daughter now, but you have not stopped the assembly of the Temple of Punishment. You should have other purposes. This purpose may be to meet with the elders. Hearing these words, Ye Wuwei looked at Hai Bopping in surprise. He is worthy of being the #1 god of war in Great Xia, and his analysis is quite accurate. Ye Wuwei nodded, not bad. He has not stopped the assembly of the Temple of Punishment so far, but he is putting pressure on the Council of Elders. Today, he is no longer the captain of the 1st Battalion of Ryaga, codenamed Shura, who only knows killing. He is the Lord of the Temple of Killing. He wanted to talk to the Council of Elders on the basis of equality of strength and status as the Lord of the Temple of Execution. What on earth do you want to discuss with the elders? Hai Bopping was full of doubts. Ye Wuwei did not answer this question directly, and seemed to answer the question incorrectly. No matter how strong the fortress is, it will be breached one day. And most fortresses are breached from the inside. Look at this Daxia, is it really Hyan Hecking? Hearing this, the color of the waves changed drastically. If you read Ye Wuwei's words carefully, it is hard to estimate how serious the problem is. What did you find? Hai Bopping's voice was urgent and his face was full of anxiety. Ye Wuwei was silent for a moment and said in a deep voice, as you think, someone is treason. Who is that person? I'm still checking. Hai Bopping's hair stood up all over his body, and he said in a trembling voice, are you doubting the Elder Council? Ye Wuwei shook his head, until we find out who it is, everyone is suspected. I will definitely pull out that damn thing with my own hands and comfort the souls of my 6 brothers in heaven. Speaking of this, Ye Wuwei's eyes turned red. After years of searching, he has mastered some information. The mysterious death of the previous 4th seat was related to the traitor lurking among the senior officials of Daxia. This information was obtained by the brothers at the cost of their lives. In order to investigate this matter, not only the 6 comrades in the lounge of 1st Battalion died. There are also many brothers who later joined the Temple of Death. Some of these brothers are not even from Daxia. Because of Ye Wuwei's instruction, he was willing to travel all over the world. Returning to Daxia this time, Ye Wuwei wanted to settle the matter. Give the 6 former comrades an identity of returning to their hometown. Their families, who didn't even know they had died in the battle, were still waiting for them to return home. A cry of pain sounded. Not far away, Zhao Bolin was knocked down by Lin's palm and hit the ground heavily, making a big hole in the ground. Master yet. Heibo let out a deep chuckle. Ye Wuwei had no expression on his face and said coldly, Lin, do whatever you want. I will bear all the consequences. Hai Bopping gritted his teeth, moved his feet, and rushed towards the battle group. He could not sit back and watch a great Xia war god die in front of his eyes. Just rushed into the battle group and came to Zhao Bolin's side. Whoosh! Ye Wuwei stood in front of the sea wave. Zhao Bolin lay in the pit, vomiting blood constantly from his mouth, and was extremely miserable. He looked straight at Lin and said intermittently, Qinglong, god of war, you, don't worry about it. Let him, kill, me. For me, this is relief. Hai Bopping frowned and shouted sharply, what are you talking about? Zhao Bolin still looked at Lin and said tremblingly, I'm sorry, you guys. Lin's eyes turned red and he said harshly, it's too late to say sorry now. Zhao Bolin looked to himself and said, I'm sorry. Puff. Lin Yida pierced Zhao Bolin's body and nailed him in the big hole. There was a look of relief in Zhao Bolin's eyes, and he slowly uttered 2 words, Daxia. Hearing this, Ye Wuwei and Hai Bopping frowned at the same time. Sorry Daxia. Chapter 22. Qingyan god of war Zhao Bolin is dead. Lin Yida cut off all his chances of life, leaving him with no possibility of survival. However, the words he said before he died, I'm sorry Daxia, aroused doubts in everyone's hearts. Why did he say this? What secrets is hidden in him? Hai Bopping looked at Ye Wuwei with a complicated expression and said in a deep voice, Master Yet, Zhao Bolin is dead. The 4th seat personally led the team to Dragon City. Be prepared for the wrath of the 4th seat. Ye Wuwei retracted his thoughts and said calmly, we are waiting for you. When Hai Bopping saw his neither salty nor bland look, he gritted his teeth in anger and simply turned away. Lin whispered, Boss, will killing Zhao Bolin cause you trouble? Ye Wuwei shook his head, no, don't think too much. After killing Zhao Bolin, there was no joy of successful revenge, only endless sadness. The other envoys noticed that Lin was in a low mood and sighed lightly. No matter what, Zhao Bolin was a brother who had been with Lin through life and death. It is definitely impossible to say that there is no emotion. At this time, Lin suddenly said, Boss, Zhao Bolin used to be very righteous. I don't know why, but he suddenly changed his gender later on. Did he have some leverage? Ye Wuwei patted Lin on the shoulder and sighed, stop thinking so wildly, I will ask someone to find out what happened to Zhao Bolin. The words he said before he died are thought-provoking. There should be some secrets hidden in him. Let's go and take you to see my daughter. She is very cute. You will definitely like her. The last sentence relaxed the solemn atmosphere. The gods laughed and urged, come on, I've wanted to see our little princess for a long time. Boss, you hit it deeply enough. Let's go, let's go. Everyone strode outside. Before leaving at the end, he quickly picked up the mask he had dropped before and put it on his face again. His current face is too ferocious and terrifying, and he doesn't want to scare the little niece he has never met. When leaving the Zhao family, Ye Wuwei asked a group of temple-killing experts to rest in the suburbs of Dragon City and wait for instructions. There are few people in the suburbs, so Zhao Fenjian can be well interrogated. Moreover, the hospital is so big that it is impossible for so many people to go together. At the same time, Imperial Capital, Heavenly Palace. Upon receiving the news that Zhao Bolin had been killed, Shang Keoch, the 4th adjudicator, was so angry that he smashed the table next to him with his palm. Arrogant. It's absolutely lawless. I decided to transfer the Vermilion Bird War God and the White Tiger War God to Dragon City. In terms of fighting alone, perhaps only the Guardian can stabilize Ye Wuwei. But with several veteran gods of war coming together, I don't believe Ye Wuwei can withstand it. Shang Keoj was filled with anger and decided to give Ye Wuwei some color. The Council of Elders had already made considerable concessions before, but Ye Wuwei couldn't bear it because he still refused to give face. Hearing this, the third adjudicator shook his head. Inappropriate. There is a lot of pressure on the border now. We cannot transfer the Vermilion Bird God of War and the God of White Tiger War. The two war gods guard the border, so there will be no trouble in the western and southern territories. Shang Keoj frowned. Hai Boping has already reported that he is no match for Ye Wuwei. He is the only war god in Dragon City. I'm afraid he won't be able to suppress Ye Wuwei. Ye Wuwei didn't give any face, and even killed Zhao Bolan after Shang Keoj personally told him. He is very angry now, and the anger in his chest cannot go away. The second judge frowned slightly and muttered, the elite power of the Temple of Punishment has basically entered Daxia. Although the war departments in various places are trying to stop them, they are still very restrained and have no murderous intentions. Once a conflict breaks out between Dragon City and Ye Wuwei, the elites of the Temple of Punishment all over Daxia will be like powder keg, exploding instantly. By then, there will be internal and external troubles, and Great Xia will be in danger. As the second seat said, the members of the Temple of Punishment who broke into Daxia are a group of brave and skilled warriors with rich combat experience. Once they take action, the War Department branches in various regions that block them will only become their mobile arsenal. These temple-killing warriors are not only skilled in martial arts, they are also extremely skilled in various thermal weapons. In the fighting in the underground world, even teeth can become weapons, let alone conventional thermal weapons. Shang Keoj's face was as dark as water and he said in a deep voice, then let Ye Wuwei run rampant in Daxia. The order of Daxia must not bow to him. At this time, the chief arbiter, who had kept his eyes closed and had not expressed an opinion, slowly opened his eyes. Keoj, don't be angry. Ye Wuwei's move is just to force you to go to Longcheng to interview him. It's understandable that he felt resentful when he was asked to leave Longjia and Daxia. As far as I know, he has not forgotten his mission back then and is still investigating with all his strength. Hearing this, Shang Keoj was slightly startled, then became furious. Does he suspect that the murderer is me? The chief arbiter nodded. You are the biggest beneficiary after the death of the previous fourth seat. His suspicions are justifiable. Having said this, the chief arbiter slowly stood up and looked around the entire room. What happened back then was extremely bad in nature. I don't care whether any of you here are involved, I have only one bottom line, and I cannot shake the foundation of Daxia. A wild and domineering momentum burst out from the chief arbiter, which was heart-stopping. At this time, the chief arbiter suddenly raised his head like an old dragon dormant at the bottom of the sea. Chao Ji, since the words have been released, they cannot be changed at will. This time when you go to Dragon City, you will take 3 brigades of Longjia and pick 2 gods of war to accompany you. In addition, the Tiangong Imperial Guards, Shadow Guards, martial arts experts from all over the world, and the ancient martial arts family can be mobilized at your request. During the interview, let's see what Ye Wuwei wants. If it's not too much, I can agree to it. As long as the Temple of Punishment withdraws from Daxia, it doesn't hurt to make some concessions. Young people are very angry. You should control your temper and don't get along with him. In his heart, after all, he still thinks that he is from Daxia. If the negotiation doesn't work out, then we'll go to war with the Temple of God. But if it's a war, we must win, no matter what the cost. At that time, all the forces in Daxia will be at your disposal, and they will do whatever it takes to obliterate the Temple of God. The chief arbiter's voice was loud and full of domineering power. Shang Keoj stood up and said seriously, okay. If it really comes to the point of starting a war with the Temple of Punishment. As the chief arbiter said, Shang Keoj will be the most powerful person in the entire Xia at that time. Chapter 23. Longcheng First Hospital. Outside the gate. In the cold wind, 2 thin figures, one large and one small, stood. It was Li Qingyan and Nian Nian. After Li Qingyan regained consciousness, she learned from Yeju that Ye Wuwei and Nian Nian had arrived at Dragon City, so she rushed to Dragon City without stopping. Nian Nian, it's windy outside and you're still very weak. Let's go in and wait. No, I have to wait outside so that I can see Dad when he comes. The orthopedic surgeon has examined Nianyan's arm and found a slight fracture. After the treatment, the plaster has been put on, and all you need to do is rest. Seeing that her daughter, who had always been well-behaved and sensible, had become so stubborn now, Li Qingyan sighed softly. Although the little guy didn't say anything, Li Qingyan knew very well that she had always longed for her father's company. Every time I see other people's family of 3 enjoying themselves, Nian will be filled with envy. Whenever that happens, Li Qingyan feels sad and guilty at the same time, feeling sorry for her daughter. He gave birth to her, but he didn't give her a complete family. It was already dark at this time, there were very few vehicles on the street, and there were no pedestrians at all. Ye Wuwei was nowhere to be seen. Li Qingyan knelt down, gently held Nian in her arms, and said softly, Nian, you follow Aunt Ju in. Mom is waiting outside. Dad is here. I'll ask you to come out again, okay? Behind them, Ye Lu, Ye Ju and Bing stood in place like 3 statues. Ask the 3 of them to kill people and run more aggressively than anyone else. But faced with the current small family conflicts, they have no experience at all and are all confused. Hearing this, Ye Ju took a step forward, used all his strength to soften his voice, and said gently, Nian, come in with me. Ye Lu and Bing's hair stood on end when they heard this gentle voice with a hint of a pinch. Is this still the little pepper that killed the temple? Ye Ju is now responsible for the commercial operations of Zushan Temple's industries in the Daxia region. Having a talent for business is one reason. Another reason is that she is easily killed when fighting in the underground world. She often goes deep alone and falls into danger. If the people around her didn't know that she would easily lose her mind once she took action, and kept looking after her, she would have died countless times. As a result, Ye Wuwei was helpless and could only transfer her to Daxia where she had 0 chance of fighting. I don't. Nian shook her head stubbornly. Seeing this, Ye Ju rubbed his brows helplessly and stepped back. She had never taken care of a child before and had no idea how to deal with it. Li Qingyan's pretty face was straight, she frowned and said, Nian, be obedient. You are still sick now, what if your condition worsens? Hurry in, don't let mom worry. Because she was worried about her daughter's condition, the tone of Li Qingyan's words became a bit serious. The corners of Nian's mouth gradually became flat, and tears appeared in her eyes. She pursed her lips and choked, Mom, can you not let me in? I just want to wait for Dad here. Seeing the cold wind blowing outside, Li Qingyan pursed her lips and said cruelly, Nian, be obedient and hurry in. If you don't obey me, Mom will be angry. When he said these 2 sentences, Li Qingyan's eyes turned red. She didn't want to scold Nian, but Nian's illness was too weird. If the condition worsened, the consequences would be unimaginable. Li Qingyan's stern tone made Nian tremble in fright. In an instant, crystal tears burst into my eyes. Nian grabbed Li Qingyan's hand aggrievedly and sobbed, Mom, I really don't want to go in. What if Daddy can't find me when he comes? Dad said that after the doctor treats me, he will come to see me. Woo Mom, will Dad really come? Everyone has been standing at the entrance of the hospital for a while. Seeing that Ye Wuwei has not appeared for a long time, Nian's faith has begun to waver. She was afraid that Ye Wuwei would not be able to find her when he arrived. I was afraid that Ye Wuwei would stay away from home for several years like before. Seeing the pitiful look on her daughter's face full of tears, Li Qingyan's nose became sour and she shed 2 lines of pure tears. Li Qingyan hugged Nian and said guiltily, Nian, I'm sorry, Mom shouldn't be cruel to you. He is a great hero who keeps his word. Since he promised you, he will definitely come. Nian saw the tears on Li Qingyan's face and cried even more sadly. She raised her hand to wipe the tears on Li Qingyan's face and choked, Mom, I'm sorry, please stop crying. Nian is obedient, Nian goes in and waits for Daddy. She kept thinking about waiting for Ye Wuwei, but she also didn't want to see Li Qingyan cry. She walked out of Li Qingyan's arms, wiping her tears sadly while looking back at the intersection step by step. Sadness, reluctance, longing, expectation, and other emotions are intertwined and are beyond words. The little back figure is so pitiful and lonely. Seeing this, Li Qingyan's heart seemed to be grabbed by a big invisible hand, causing bursts of pain. She had a strong impulse to stop her daughter. But when she thought about her daughter's condition and how long it would be before Ye Wuwei came over, Li Qingyan couldn't bear it. When Ye Lu and the others saw this scene, their hearts almost broke. Even a hard-hearted person will be moved when seeing this scene. On the building opposite the hospital, the group of temple-killing powerhouses brought over by the soldiers were performing vigilance work. This group of men who were decisive in killing outside the territory all had red eyes when they saw Nian's lonely back. Among them, several men who grew up in welfare homes were crying profusely. On the roof of the hospital, the elite Qingyan guards also had tears in their eyes. Hall Master Ye's daughter is so sensible and cute, yet she was bullied so miserably today. Those bastards from the Zhao family should all be shot. Under the gaze of pairs of eyes, openly and secretly, Nian came to the foot of the hospital building with tears falling all over the floor. Before entering, she looked back at the intersection with her last bit of hope. However, the intersection is still empty. The hope in her eyes gradually dissipated, replaced by unspeakable disappointment and sadness. The complicated look in Nian's eyes made Li Qingyan's heart beat like a knife. She covered her chest with one hand and her mouth with the other, sobbing. Boom boom boom. At this moment, the roar of an engine came. 2 off-road vehicles rushed out of the intersection and came at lightning speed. Nian stopped, with hope rising in her eyes. She quickly ran to the gate and shouted excitedly, "Mom, it must be Dad. Dad is here to see me." Li Qingyan held back her tears and said bitterly, "It's not such a coincidence." Nian looked serious and said with certainty, "That's Dad. I can feel it, Dad is coming." Stab! The screech of brakes sounded. The SUV was parked outside the hospital. A heroic man jumped out of the car and looked at Li Qingyan and Nian excitedly. This person is none other than Ye Wuwei. "Dad!" Nian shouted, ran over quickly, and threw herself directly into Ye Wuwei's arms. Li Qingyan looked in shock at Ye Wuwei, who picked up Nian and then kissed Nian's little face frantically. She was stunned and silent. Is this the heart-to-heart connection between father and daughter? Chapter 24. Boss, she is so cute. Oops, you're so cute that my heart almost melts. Boss, let me hug you and miss you too. Do, have you really washed your hands? Can I give you a hug? Several great envoys came close to Ye Wuwei, all gearing up and wanting to hug him and miss him. If the forces outside the territory who were killed by the Temple of Punishment were crying for their parents and cried for their mothers if they saw this scene, they would probably be shocked. Are these really those murderous god-killing gods who kill without batting an eyelid? Just pick one up and it will make a big force tremble. Go aside. I haven't had enough hugs yet. Ye Wuwei glared at everyone angrily, feeling speechless. Then, holding Nian in his arms, he strode up to Li Qingyan. Looking at Li Qingyan's haggard face, Ye Wuwei flashed a look of guilt in his eyes and said apologetically, "Qingyan, thank you for your hard work these years." Li Qingyan looked at Ye Wuwei's much more mature face, pursed her lips and shook her head. There were many small wounds on Ye Wuwei's face. There are many wounds, but they are not big. They do not affect the appearance, but add to the iron-blooded look. Li Qingyan could feel that Ye Wuwei had suffered more and heavier hardships than she had in these years. His eyes have become much deeper and have gone through many vicissitudes. He must have experienced many unimaginable difficulties. "Mom, it's so cold outside, let's go in quickly." Nian took the initiative to grab Li Qingyan's hand, her voice full of joy. Li Qingyan nodded slightly and kept looking at Ye Wuwei. Then, the group entered the hospital. In the ward, Nian was lying on the hospital bed, with Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan sitting on both sides of the hospital bed. The little guy sometimes looked at Ye Wuwei, sometimes at Li Qingyan, and his laughter never stopped. She feels like she is the happiest child in the world now. I have the best dad and mom in the world. Seeing Nian calling daddy very affectionately, Li Qingyan's eyes flashed and she hesitated to speak. Finally, she mustered up the courage to look directly into Ye Wuwei's eyes and whispered, "Ye Wuwei, let's go out and talk." "Okay." Ye Wuwei nodded happily. Li Qingyan covered Nian with a quilt and said softly, "Be good and don't cause trouble." Nian nodded vigorously, Go, come back soon." Then, Li Qingyan and Ye Wuwei walked out of the ward one after another. The gods waiting outside the ward straightened their bodies and said in unison, "Hello, sister-in-law." Everyone greeted Li Qingyan in unison. A blush appeared on Li Qingyan's pale face, and she nodded awkwardly, "Hello everyone, thank you all for today." Everyone waved their hands repeatedly, indicating that it was appropriate. When Li Qingyan and Ye Wuwei walked away, the envoys looked at each other and rushed into the ward. They had just seen a family of 3 enjoying themselves and were embarrassed to go in and ruin the atmosphere. Now is the time to wait for the opportunity to get close to Nian Nian. After Ye Wuwei and Li Qingyan left the ward, they came to a large balcony on the same floor. Li Qingyan held her hand on the railing and looked at the night view of the city in the distance, feeling worried. The evening breeze blew over her shoulders, blowing her long hair, revealing her charming profile. In the past few years, Li Qingyan has lost her childishness and matured a lot. Although now I have become a lot more haggard because of my daughter's medical treatment. However, Ye Wuwei felt that she was more beautiful and radiant than before. Ye Wuwei's heart was beating wildly, and he was more nervous than ever. She is still so beautiful and eye-catching. Even in the deep darkness, her body still seemed to exude a faint brilliance. This is the person I have to protect with all my life, even if I shed my last drop of blood. Ye Wuwei. Li Qingyan suddenly turned around, as if she had a major decision to tell Ye Wuwei. But just as she turned around, Li Qingyan's heart trembled. She saw a pair of eyes filled with infinite affection. The extremely rich tenderness and sweetness in those eyes made Li Qingyan's heart beat wildly, her blood was agitated, and her pretty face turned red quickly. Ah, what's the matter? Ye Wuwei's expression became serious and he looked at Li Qingyan solemnly. Li Qingyan hesitated several times. Finally, she made up her mind, looked into Ye Wuwei's eyes, and said in a trembling voice, Nian Nian always thought that she was born in our mutual expectation. She didn't know that it was a drunken accident. I have never blamed you, and I don't want you to be responsible. I insisted on giving birth to her. I will be responsible for her. I can take care of her by myself. I only have one request. Allow her to call you daddy and maintain the superficial harmony. I promise I won't let her disturb your new life. May I? Hearing this, Ye Wuwei's heart trembled and his face became a little ugly. He was silent for a long time and asked in a hoarse voice, Qingyan, why do you say that? Li Qingyan seemed to not want to face Ye Wuwei, and turned around to look at the night scene again. She raised her hand and wiped it on her face, choking and saying, back then, you said you wanted to join the army, and I always kept it in my heart. Whenever Nian Nian asks about you, I tell you that you are defending our country and are a great hero who protects Daxia, so you have no time to come back. But now, I find that you may have been discharged from the army long ago. My guess is right. Ye Wuwei said with difficulty, yes. Hearing this, Li Qingyan's body trembled, and her tears flowed faster. Before, Bing asked a group of experts from the Temple of Punishment to stand in front of Li Qingyan and shout sister-in-law in unison. At that time, Li Qingyan felt something was wrong. Although these people were smiling at her, she felt that these people had a more ferocious temperament than Scar's underworld. Li Qingyan choked and said, Ye Wuwei, tell the truth, are you working as a gangster outside? Do those things of murder and arson every day? She always felt that Ye Wuwei was a great hero who protected the family and the country, and even Nian Nian also always thought so. But now, Li Qingyan realized that she was wrong. Ye Wuwei was shocked when he heard the word gangster. He never expected that Li Qingyan would give herself this label. How could a low-end gadget like the underworld be worthy of the status of the Temple of Punishment? However, when it comes to murder and arson, it is not wrong. Ye Wuwei was a little hesitant and said softly, Qingyan, have you ever heard of the Temple of Punishment? Li Qingyan shook her head, I've never heard of it. Is this the name of your club? Both Zhongcheng and Longcheng are having military exercises today. Say goodbye to Nian Nian later and leave quickly. The city is full of soldiers now, be careful you get arrested by them. The War Department's series of actions in Zhongcheng and Longcheng are collectively referred to as military exercises to the outside world. Society? Caught? Ye Wuwei felt helpless and a little embarrassed. If Qingyan knew that these soldiers were coming for her, she would probably feel even more firmly that she was a gangster. Ye Wuwei's thoughts were racing in his mind, and he solemnly said, Qingyan, Temple of God is not a gangster, it is a social organization formed by me and a group of brothers. We love peace and never take the initiative to provoke others. Even if there is a conflict, it will be resolved with kindness and calmly. I don't boast that I am a hero, but I have indeed made a lot of contributions to Daxia in the past few years. These words are true. Zushan Temple does not take the initiative to provoke others, but those who provoke them will be destroyed. As long as Zushan Temple sends people over to forces that are in conflict with Zushan Shen's industry, the other party will be so scared that they wet their pants and immediately give in. It is indeed a calm solution to the problem. As for making contributions to Daxia, this is even more true. What the Temple of Punishment has done in the past few years has been witnessed by all forces. Really? Li Qingyan looked at Ye Wuwei sideways with suspicion in her eyes. Ye Wuwei nodded seriously, it's absolutely true. Li Qingyan let out a breath of turbid air, and her whole body felt much more relaxed. If Ye Wuwei was really a gangster, she was worried that Ye Wuwei and his brothers would influence Nian Nian. Li Qingyan quickly wiped away the tears on her face and said, "So how have you been in the past few years after you retired from the army?" Ye Wuwei looked sincere. "Fortunately, I don't have to worry about food and clothing, and I have some savings." Li Qingyan hesitated for a moment, pretending to be curious and said, "I heard that girls abroad are very proactive. You are not bad looking, there should be many girls chasing you." Ye Wuwei shook his head, "No." Li Qingyan looked unbelieving, "There are no girls around you." Ye Wuwei took a step forward, walked to Li Qingyan, looked at the latter's profile, and said seriously, "There must be girls, but I treat them as brothers." The two were quite close now. A strong smell of male hormones rushed into Li Qingyan's nasal cavity, making her blush and heartbeat. "Oh. Then you haven't met a girl you like? If so, don't worry about Nian Nian. I promise I won't let her affect your feelings, as long as you take the time to see her." Li Qingyan's voice became weaker and weaker, a little nervous. The corners of Ye Wuwei's mouth curled up slightly, "Yes." Hearing these two words, Li Qingyan's heart clenched and her nose felt sore. It seems that he still met his own happiness. What can he do? I can only wish him happiness. Li Qingyan forced a smile, "She must be very beautiful." Ye Wuwei nodded, looked at Li Qingyan's side face and said, "She is very beautiful. She is the most beautiful girl I have ever met. The bridge of the nose is high and the skin is very white. And her eyes are big, and her eyelashes are curved and long. Every smile can touch my heart." Seeing Ye Wuwei describe it in such detail, Li Qingyan's mouth flattened, she wanted to cry and was a little angry. He said it so clearly, it seems that he likes that girl very much. Li Qingyan resisted the urge to cry and said quietly, "When are you going to get married?" Ye Wuwei's voice was soft, "It depends on when you are willing to marry me." Chapter 25. It depends on when you are willing to marry me? Ye Wuwei's very gentle words sounded like thunder in Li Qingyan's ears. The girl he just talked about has always been me? No wonder he kept looking at his face when describing the girl he liked. This bad guy. Why didn't he just say it? He did it on purpose, for sure. In an instant, Li Qingyan's face turned crimson, her pretty face was hot, and countless thoughts popped up in her mind. At this moment, she was a little confused and didn't know how to catch Ye Wuwei's words. When she thought of Ye Wuwei's affectionate look not long ago, Li Qingyan's heart was beating as fast as a drum. Seeing Li Qingyan's face flushed, she was so shy that she couldn't speak. Ye Wuwei faced Li Qingyan and said affectionately, "Qingyan, I have always liked you, beyond all your imagination. I have always missed you during these years outside. You are also the motivation for me to survive. You have suffered all these years, and I feel very guilty. I'm sorry for you, and I'm sorry for Nian Nian, for not being able to be by your side during your most difficult time. I am Nian Nian's father, and I also want to be your husband. Can you give me a chance to make up for you and Nian Nian?" Li Qingyan is a ray of light in Ye Wuwei's life, pointing out the direction for his bleak and dark life. There used to be some vague emotions between the two of them, but they were not exposed. At that time, Li Qingyan was about to graduate from university and was very ignorant about relationships. Because of his own experience, Ye Wuwei felt a little inferior and a little scared, feeling that he might not be able to give this kind girl happiness. He didn't want Li Qingyan to live his own kind of dark life. At that time, he just wanted to protect Li Qingyan silently, watch her blossom into youth, watch her give birth to children, and watch her live a happy life. The affection between the two of them was so deeply buried in their hearts. These years of experience, coupled with Li Qingyan's current living situation, caused Ye Wuwei's thoughts to change. Love needs to be spoken loudly. He wanted Li Qingyan to have himself in his blooming youth, he wanted Li Qingyan to have children for him, and he wanted to personally give Li Qingyan happiness. Not seeing him for a day makes me miss him like crazy. But Ye Wuwei had been waiting for this day for 6 years. Now seeing the beauty he longed for right in front of him, Ye Wuwei could no longer hold back and spoke out his heart without reservation. Maybe happiness comes too suddenly. Facing Ye Wuwei's affectionate confession, Li Qingyan's mind was in a mess, and she just stared at Ye Wuwei with wide eyes. Seeing this, Ye Wuwei looked disappointed and sighed, "It seems you don't want to." After saying that, Lonely turned around and left slowly. Li Qingyan came back to her senses, stamped her feet anxiously, and said anxiously, "No. No reluctance." Ye Wuwei grinned, turned quickly, came to Li Qingyan, grabbed the latter's hand, and said excitedly, "Then you agree?" Seeing how quickly he changed his face, Li Qingyan understood instantly. "Okay, scheming bad man." Feeling Ye Wuwei's palms that were shaking with joy, Li Qingyan nodded shyly and said in a voice like a mosquito, "Yet." Li Qingyan was excited because she understood that Ye Wuwei proposed to her because of her, not because she gave birth to Nian Nian. The next second, Ye Wuwei hugged Li Qingyan tightly into his arms. Feeling Ye Wuwei's fiery body and smelling the scent that made her heart at ease, Li Qingyan couldn't help but reach out and hug Ye Wuwei tightly. Li Qingyan leaned her head on Ye Wuwei's solid and powerful chest, looked at the white fish belly on the horizon, and sighed in her heart. One person struggled for 5 years. It's finally dawn. When you come back this time, will you leave again? If I don't leave, I will always stay with you. Really? Real? It's great, our family of 3 can finally be together all the time. Then we must work hard in the future. As long as Nian Nian's disease is cured, life will be complete. You don't have to worry about Nian Nian's illness in the future, I will find a way to solve it. That's going to cost a lot of money. Didn't I say that I have accumulated enough savings over the years to cure Nian Nian's illness? While talking, the two looked into each other's eyes. Li Qingyan's eyes were watery and rippling. Ye Wuwei's eyes were extremely hot when he saw the beautiful lady looking like this. Hormones are bursting. Adrenaline is secreted rapidly. Both of them were a little emotional. Ye Wuwei slowly lowered his head and kissed Li Qingyan. Li Qingyan's body stiffened, then she closed her eyes and tried to raise her head. The lips touched. All emotions exploded unreservedly at this moment. The two hugged each other tighter, and they could feel each other's wildly beating heart. A long time. Lip parting. Li Qingyan blushed, shyly pushed Ye Wuwei away, and said angrily, "I can't even breathe." Ye Wuwei smiled awkwardly, "It's my fault that I'm too involved." Hearing this, Li Qingyan's neck turned crimson. She gave Ye Wuwei a charming look and ran away quickly, all the way back to the ward. When Ye Wuwei arrived outside the ward, Yelu and several divine envoys were standing outside the ward. Only Yeju was in the ward talking to Li Qingyan and Nian Nian. Seeing that Yeju was suppressing his voice, Ye Wuwei suppressed a smile and said, "Yeju, come out for a moment." Hearing this, Yeju immediately ran out of the ward. Ye Wuwei waved his hand, signaling Yelu and several divine envoys to come over. Soon, everyone formed a circle. Ye Wuwei said sternly, "Qingyan just mistakenly thought that we were a gangster. From now on, you should be careful not to show off your momentum and scare them. I owe them a lot, mother and daughter. From now on, I will live in Daxia and stay with them." When they learned that Ye Wuwei was planning to live in Daxia permanently, several divine envoys were surprised, but also fully supported him. After all, in the years when Ye Wuwei was away, he really owed too much and had to make up for it. Yeju looked excited, "Boss, since you live in Daxia, you should be personally responsible for the business here. I want to go back to the outside world, where my world belongs." Ye Wuwei glared at her angrily and said, "I will take care of my baby every day from now on, and I won't have time to manage it. In addition, I am planning to organize the grandest wedding of the century. You are more familiar with Daxia, and I need you to arrange it." Yeju nodded disappointedly, "Okay." Yelu took the initiative to ask for help and said, "Boss, Yeju may not be able to handle this task alone. Please bring me back to assist her. Male and female match, work is not tiring." Ye Wuwei gave Yelu a meaningful look, which made Yelu blush. Everyone else knew what he had planned. Only Yeju didn't notice it. He patted Yelu on the shoulder gratefully and said with a smile, "Good brother, I am in my heart." Seeing this, Ye Wuwei nodded, "Okay. I plan to live in Longcheng. You guys go look for a villa and move there when Nian Nian is discharged from the hospital." After that, he turned around and walked to the ward. "Mom, when are we going to see Grandpa and Grandma?" "Don't worry, we will go find them when you are well and discharged." "How long until you are discharged from hospital?" "I don't know. It depends on what the doctor says." As soon as he entered the ward, Ye Wuwei heard the mother and daughter discussing about being discharged from the hospital. When Li Qingyan saw Ye Wuwei come in, she stopped talking, looked at Ye Wuwei, and said, "Give me your phone and I'll let my parents know that they're safe." They were worried all night and didn't know that Nian and I were safe. Ye Wuwei directly handed the phone to Li Qingyan without any hesitation. Li Qingyan's heart trembled when she saw that the screensaver on her phone was herself from 6 years ago. She raised her head and glanced at Ye Wuwei, the light in her eyes almost rippling out. Then, Li Qingyan made a series of phone calls. After saying a few words, her face became a little ugly. After the call ended, Li Qingyan said worriedly, "My parents are coming over later. You disappeared for so many years, they may have a problem with you." Ye Wuwei raised his hand to smooth Li Qingyan's frown, and said calmly, "Don't frown over these little things, I will take care of them." Li Qingyan was infected by Ye Wuwei's emotions, and her heart gradually became calmer. Is this what it feels like to have a man to rely on? Very comfortable. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.